And good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Football Park here in Adelaide for the 1993 SANFL Grand Final between the Eagles and Norwood. I'm about to introduce a man who's played for both clubs. Good afternoon, Neville Roberts.
Mark, viewers, and what a magnificent day at Footy Park. We've got great weather, and you're right, Mark, I did play for both clubs, so my loyalties are a little bit divided. My emotional ties are with Norwood, but like all South Australian football supporters, I'd feel very good for the Eagles because it's been 40 years. The Eagles, of course, are an amalgamated body here in Adelaide. The formation of two clubs. The Woodville-West Torrens amalgamation happened 3 years ago in Adelaide, and they've been in the finals every year. They were coached by Newman, the now Melbourne coach. Now it's Bruce Winter in his first year, and there's a picture of our boulevard packed and people still coming. So it's a full stadium here today. And on the other hand, Norwood Footy Club, they've got a lot of tradition. They've been here 26 times before, or they've won it 26 times before. So Norwood have had to do it the hard way. 3 finals to get here, and the Eagles only 2. And today's the second one, so they've had a good rest.
Here's the Eagles' locker room. I wonder how the boys are feeling. Andrew Payze doing some stretches right in the middle there, number 7.
Yes, indeed. Well, this is the best time. You're ready to go. You look each other in the eye and you make those personal commitments and you just pray like crazy that you can live up to them all. You look around the room and you know it's a proud day for your club. You just want to be celebrating in 2 hours' time. And Bruce Winter looking on in the background.
Yes, and speaking of Bruce Winter, he is the coach of the Eagles. Here he is speaking with David Christie.
Bruce, the responsibility of the senior coach of a side in its grand final is enormous, but do you feel an extra responsibility to an amalgamated club that's been, virtually starved of success in, 40 years as far as the Eagles are concerned?
Oh, no, I haven't felt pressure along those lines. I actually haven't thought about that, but I mean, you're right. I found that there seems to be a little bit more pressure on you as a coach than as a player. I think if I had my choice, I'd rather play in a grand final because you're actually responsible for yourself. But, you know, in this situation, yeah, sure, I'm responsible for the 20 players. And you know, I'd have to agree that there are a lot of supporters out there who are looking for success today.
You've had success as a player, Bruce, and also with reserves football, but do you feel that this would be the pinnacle of your career in football?
I don't reckon anything would beat playing in a grand final because you're physically out there, you're doing something, and certainly the highlights of my career would be the 3 grand finals or the 3 premierships that I played in, but you know, if it happens today, it'd be pretty close to it.
Could you put a better side on the field this afternoon, Bruce?
No, all players that were available to be selected were selected. You know, even David Grant actually was past fit on Thursday night. But I felt that he was a bit of a risk because he was still a bit sore. He's a pretty tough young character, but so he was the only one that probably from a league point of view we weren't prepared to consider, but all the others were under consideration.
Well, Bruce, it's going to be a great game. We wish the club all the very best.
Thanks very much.
The Norwood coach is Neil Craig. Here he is speaking with Stephen Trigg.
Neil, a grand final today, and could you just let us know, was it in line with the realistic objectives before the season started?
Well, our objectives, Stephen, were always to get into the finals. And I think that's always got to be your first objective. Actually, our objective will always be to be in top 3. And I think once you get there, anything can happen. You need a bit of luck, you need some good planning. And, you know, we're there now, so we're going to give it our best shot.
Well, it's your 3rd year of planning, and obviously to make the finals was the objective. What's helped you to go the extra step into the final itself? Was there a turning point in the season for you?
From a team-wise, I think a turning point was when we played Port Adelaide here at Footy Park mid-year, where we'd had quite a comfortable lead, and Port Adelaide came at us very strongly in the last quarter. Our history would suggest that they would have overrun us, and I think as a club we matured that day. But it's been a gradual progression for 3 years. You know, we've sort of just got better and better each year, as you would expect, as you would know as a coach. You know, those sort of things you set yourself. And, you know, today the guys get a chance, as they have for the last 3 weeks, to play in finals footy, which is important for them.
Briefly, where can you win it?
Well, I mean, who knows who's going to win? I mean, that's the bottom line. What we're on about as a club is very much about what's got us here throughout the year, what's enabled us to play some reasonable competitive footy in the last 3 weeks. And I think if you focus too much on the winning and losing, it's very easy to get blown away. Our mind will be very much on what creates winning, not necessarily what the scoreboard's saying.
Terrific, Neil. Congratulations on making it, and good luck for the final.
Thanks, Stephen. Thank you very much.
Well, it is really starting to happen here. Here's a sport that I know is very warm to Neville Roberts' heart, parachuting, and they're coming down now to present Max Bashir, the president of the SANFL, with the premiership pennant and also the trophy. And what a marvellous feeling that would be for that young man.
Well, it is. I'm not really into jumping out of planes, but he, like all of them, they'll finish very close to the centre of the ground. He'll carry the premiership pennant, and both clubs, of course, hopeful for carrying that around the ground. Not a bad landing to deliver the 1993 SAFL pennant. And again, very accurate, aren't they? Right in the centre. Can't do much better than that.
It's a goal. 3-4 Productions. Well done. Here's another one. Let's see how he goes.
They are colourful.
Very good indeed.
I was at the AFL Grand Final last week, Mark, and saw them do a very similar thing. It is a spectacular piece of entertainment.
That's an unusual hat.
Yeah, it's just a little bit of video gear strapped to the head.
Mark Westgarth, Richard Williams come on to this magnificent stadium here at West Lakes in South Australia. And there are the field umpires, the goal umpires, and it is a big moment, and the goal umpires as well.
A lot of pressure on the umpires. They feel it too, make no mistake about that. They want the best thing for the game.
Here come the Eagles. A big, big moment for these boys. They've never experienced this before. And I just wonder right now, Neville, whether they're hearing any of this.
Well, I can tell you, Mark, you do hear it, and it's important that they do take notice of the crowd, have a real good look at it, soak it in, and then just get their minds back to the tunnel, just back to the simple and the basics. Concentrate on the footy, first contest, and there they are. The Eagles, 40 years they've waited to be at an oval before, this is the 20th grand final at Footy Park, and this is their first appearance here in October. And don't the crowd love it? And
Peter Schwarz, congratulations to the captain, 250 games, a marvellous achievement.
He's the captain of the Norwood Football Club. Peter Schwarz, he's shaking hands with on right of screen. He's the skipper of the Eagles. My tip is the Eagles. They're a much more balanced team. They've got better resources, and they've had a better run into this grand final. Peter Schwarz has won the toss, and he's gone with the breeze, which I and my associates value at around about 3 goals here in Adelaide today. And Peter Schwarz enjoying, I think, his 250th game in Adelaide today, possibly his last. So wouldn't it be a great thrill for him to finish on a grand final premiership note?
And Sandy Nelson was the man who tossed the coin, then playing centre half-back for Sturt 20 years ago, the very first grand final here at Football Park between Sturt and Glenelg, one which Sturt won.
Yeah, Sturt won by a point, and the Norwood coach, or the Eagle coach, I should say, Bruce Winter, played in that game as well. And of course, Bruce later joined Norwood and played in the 82 and 84 premiership side. So he's had plenty of experience on grand final day. There's number 2. He's a rover for the Norwood Football Club. His name is Stephen Patterson, and he's played state football this year. He's probably tipped as a number 1 draft choice here in Adelaide.
We're standing by now for the national anthem. Getting ready now to cross down to Margaret Earlidge. Here it is, the national anthem.
Rich and rare in his streets.
was quite spectacular. So only a minute or so before the start of the 1993 grand final between Norwood and the Eagles. And Neville Roberts, what are those boys thinking right now?
Well, doesn't it make you feel great to be in Australia when you see that flag, and that it is a fantastic feeling. Right now, both players from teams would be thinking to themselves, I just must perform. I want to perform, and to get back in control of themselves. They'd be anxious to get the footy in their hand, Mark, just to taste it, just to do one thing good early, and hoping they get the right break. But concentration, 100%, just watch the leather. That's what their instructions would be, and hoping that their club gets the first goal.
So a huge crowd here for this big game in the South Australian National Football League. And there's Neil Baum having a good look.
Well, I hope he's got a headache, because I had a drink with him last night. The coach of the Melbourne Football Club.
Well, I hope you haven't got a headache, Neville Roberts. Here's David Mackay and Stephen Trigg.
What a wonderful atmosphere it is as well. Near capacity crowd at Football Park. And joining me, David Mackay. David, a couple of changes to the Norwood side, and the Eagles, as is.
The Eagles were always going to go as is. I think that was the case. They said that Taylor would come in, and that certainly happened, but there was some surprises. Shacky and Pesh on the interchange bench. I thought they might have used Shacky's height, but look at Weidermann as a ruck rover. He'll pick up Gary McIntosh for Norwood, and that will be a battle. But look at the interchange. But Lachlan Bowman is in, David Burns is out. So Norwood have decided to go for height on the interchange bench. Why is that?
And David, well, I suggest there might be a problem with Ben Modra, who turned an ankle last week, and a suggestion about his fitness, a little bit suspect.
Well, we'll soon find out.
Who's your tip very quickly, David?
The Eagles. It's 3 for zip this year. By the way, the Eagles are in the blue shorts. Norwood are in the white shorts, in case you've just joined us and you haven't really followed the SANFL this year.
So all is set. Umpire Richard Williams in his first grand final, holds it aloft with Mark Westgarth, and isn't that a great buzz around the ground? He puts it down for the first bounce of the final. Newman comes charging in. Thompson from the right of screen. Craig Balmer has started on interchange, as we just saw a moment ago. Quickly out of the centre square, the first exodus to the Eagles, and a spoil put on by Brett James, which the umpire says is illegal.
Zilla got 30 possessions last time they played. He destroyed the Redlegs.
This is Stephen Zeller. Shorten's got Taylor. What a start by the Eagles. They've got the aid of what is probably a 3 or 4 goal breeze, and Andrew Taylor will have the first shot from the game at around 40 metres. So Taylor, normally very, very reliable, needs to set it at the left post. That is the ideal start for the Eagles. They're away, and they come from all over the park to congratulate Andrew Taylor. Back into the side this week. He nails it and puts the first on the board for the game.
We should explain Andrew Taylor played in the reserves preliminary final last week. He kicked 3 goals, and the only reason he was there, he was suspended in the last minor round game of the season for hitting Stephen Patterson, number 2 for Norwood, who's playing in this game. Almost knocked him out. He was lucky to only get 2 weeks, and this is his first game back in the seniors since being suspended.
Norwood, they trail by 1 goal. Only 1 minute into the 1993 grand final. Up they go. Thompson this time brings it to ground. In O'Brien tries to crash his way through. Kelly overruns it. They go to ground. Morford fights hard for it. Whistle on play, and it's the Eagles. They'll take a free kick midfield. It's Scotty Morford. Kicked 99 goals a couple of years ago, and is a dynamic forward. Up over half forward. Up they go. Too far for Filippo. Toombs through. Caught with a footy. And the right decision held to him.
The Eagles are doing a good job of holding the ball in their forward zone. They have led Norwood at half-time in each of their games this year. Norwood almost had them beaten round 22 out at the parade, but the Eagles just held on by 12 points.
Yes, and it's so important that the Redlegs, for their part, start very well. They've had 3 very tough games leading into this final. They're against the Breeze in this, the first quarter of the grand final, and if they can start well, rather than be spent early and play catch-up football, that's just what they need. But they're not going to get a chance this time. The umpire's found a free and a 50-metre penalty. Well, doesn't that hurt? Newman, to the delight of, I'm sure, the Eagles crowd, will take the kick from the line. Norwood fans despair.
And that's exactly what Norwood didn't need. Neil Craig didn't want the Eagles to start like this. It puts a lot of pressure back on the young side. Already probably on the edge of a bit of panic. Right on the line, 2 goals in minutes.
Well, they are a young side, Norwood. They've got 11 players under 21 years of age. It's incredibly young for a grand final. It's set something of a record this year in South Australian National Football League, and they've come from 5th, Norwood, so they've had to win every game. They've had not the luxury of losing a game. Now, there was the free kick. It was Thompson pushing into the back of Newman, and then they didn't give the ball back on the full. It was that simple.
So, Norwood, there's the 50-metre. They have to take a bit of control here. David Newman on screen, a valuable ruckman to the Eagles, part of their 3 or 4 big players. And the crowd scream for the Eagles.
The Eagles are 2 straight goals. Norwood yet to score. Can they get a slice of their own tradition today, the Eagles? Norwood, for their part, looking for the 27th premiership for the club. The Weed, the Viking, as they call him, in the middle of the ground, and the big cry of the Weed goes up. Nothing going there, and a rebound right in the centre square area of Football Park.
Wayne Weidermann plays with the Crows and the Eagles here in Adelaide. Number 11 got the job on McIntosh, who gets thrown out of the pack. Pitt throws it up and literally throws it up. Good call, Stephen, and
their nerves are getting the better of them, Norwood. They're a terrific team, but they just haven't settled yet. Now, we're only 3.5 minutes in. It's early days yet, and they're good enough to peg the Eagles back.
This is Chapman, Paul Chapman for the Eagles, a valuable player, beautifully skilled. Taylor out of the play. This is Ziller, Stephen Ziller. Will he get the bounce he wants? The crowd sigh, he misses to the right. So the Eagles now, they're 2-goal-1, 13. They've had 3 shots at goal. Norwood haven't had it across their half-forward line.
4.5 minutes into the first term. And a dream start for the Eagles. They have the aid of that breeze. Jonathan Robran elects to chip short and has Jonathan Toombs. Deep in the back pocket, lifts the eyes. There's not much down there, so he also goes short. A little bit of poise early for the Redlegs. That's a good sign. Scott Burns towards centre wing. He goes. Setting himself is smart. The spoil away from Primke. Kelly takes control in the centre of the ground. Was he holding the ball? The umpire says no. Here's the feisty Stephen Patterson. The centre half forward or half forward. Stephen Rowe. Zip-zap around the corner on the left leg. The target is prime. The big man's got it. Good lead and a beautiful dispatch from Rowe.
He's been a key for them in the finals. He got 5 against Central in the elimination. Then he picked up 4 against Glenelg and 4 last week in the preliminary final against Port Adelaide. He's been a key.
I spoke to him before the game. He just wanted to take the first one clean. He's done it. Can he nail it the first time round? I think he has. The Norwood crowd will love it. Prime is first. The Redlegs are away. The Eagles are 2-1. Norwood a 1 straight goal.
Norwood have found a Tony Lockett lookalike in this kid. I tell you, from the West Coast, he's only 22 years of age, and that gives him goal number 86 in his rookie season. I can't recall too many players having done that.
No, not indeed. He's done a very good job for Norwood. He's second on the goal-kicking list here in Adelaide, next to Taylor and Port Adelaide. Back in the centre, the Eagles are 2-1-13. Norwood a 1 goal, 7-point lead, the Eagles. In comes Newman. Beautiful knock though by Thompson. To ground. Brewer over the ball. A chance for Weidermann, just with strength. They yell his name. Primke, the centre half back. He loses it, follows up, redeems, throws the ball out. Kluzak around the corner. Wasn't seen. Too far for Ziller. This is James. Drafted to Collingwood. Through he comes. He's clever with his hands. You'll see more of that today. Kelly, a tough player. McIntosh, even tougher. Strong, Modra. Up they go. On to Eames. They're forward again. Half-back and Rogers.
Now, he's been given the job on Ducker and he shut him out earlier in the year. Absolutely cut him out of the game, kept him to 1 point.
Yes, he's just the ticket for it. Certainly athletic and the man to stop Mark Ducker. McIntosh throws himself in over the ball and causes the bounce down right on grandstand side, centre wing, in front of the members' stand. And we mentioned earlier that the clash between Weidermann and McIntosh should be terrific. All the action today on ABC Sport throughout Australia and Southeast Asia promises to be a wonderful game. The bounce down, Thompson just a little shove, then gets the fist away. There's Weidermann, McIntosh on screen. Charging his way through was Tate. Drives it up towards space. Toombs did very well. Led in the race to the ball and probably in the end should have taken it. Quick one take from Stephen Ziller. On the up, gets Taylor. Taylor drags it around the body. Left leg to the head of the square. Who's there? Brewer comes charging through. He can get a leg to it. He can't. And Scott Robinson does very, very well to take it over for a point.
He was dead unlucky, Brewer. He read it beautifully. He was just going too fast to control his legs. He could have just pushed it through once more. It just didn't sit for him. Robinson was there in support.
Toombs has the ball now. He's deep in defence. Remember that Norwood are kicking into the breeze, so it's going to right of screen to half back. Up they go. Thompson can't take it. Payze helped out by Weidermann. Busy players, desperate players at half forward for the Eagles, and we'll have another ball up. We're only 7 minutes in, and already an 8-point lead to the Eagles. There's a fanatic dressed up for Norwood. She's hoping that The great Redlegs can do it again. They did it in 82 and 84, but they're up against it today, Stephen.
They certainly are, but stranger things have happened, and Norwood are in very, very good form. Here's Modra, got the reflex from Rowe, pushes it across ground. Grant Tanner, what a battle this will be. Two very talented players. This time, Shane Brewer wins the contest, drives it to the head of the square, tunes in the best position, just got a fingertip to it. And it's through for a behind, so the Eagles move along to 2-3.
Brewer.
Norwood a one straight goal.
Brewer already drafted by Geelong. Grant Tanner, his direct opponent, number 5 for Norwood, has nominated for the draft.
And we'll keep you in touch with all those details, our Melbourne viewers today, because there's quite a few players on this ground that have nominated. Chapman and Brewer combine again. A chance now for Ziller. Stephen Ziller, he puts it in high. This is Nickel, I think, behind the place. Put it down. Robran comes in. Jason Ziller fights hard. Number 56 on hands and knees. And an opportunity, a real opportunity there for Nickel. He just couldn't hold it.
Very lucky then, weren't they? Because Nickel looked to have that one all over, David.
Well, it's just a thing about grand finals, is that some players settle down, others don't. Nickel just a little over anxious. It was a sitter, but the nerves.
And the side that settles best will invariably do the best through the day. Norwood need a very, very good start into this breeze. Contest of plenty in there over the ball. Inside the 50-metre line for the Eagles. Number 46 is Ben Modra. Some doubt about him before the game. Turned an ankle last week. And we suspect that the inclusion of Lockie Bowman for the desperately unlucky David Burns is just as a coverage in case Ben doesn't get through the game.
Rowe makes something happen there. He's too high on Morford. It wasn't seen, though. They combine well, and there was Chooms to Eames. They're into attack. Prime at the back. He can't do it. The crummer is Primke in hard. The Eagles back to Rogers. They use the ball well, and that's touch. Morford has a look. Straight down the grandstand side towards Harcourt. Taylor! Not quite. He had a big jump at that one. The Redlegs are there in numbers, but they work it out beautifully. The Eagles Payze around the corner. Robran leads. He needs the bounce, and he was rewarded for doing the textbook thing and attacking the footy.
Number 10, Jonathan Robran, sought by Hawthorn, has the job on Stuart Nickel, who has been in terrific form in the latter part of the season.
And Robran did a good job on Scotty Hodges last week for Port Adelaide in that vital preliminary final, which Norwood won.
Plenty of firepower for the Eagles. Those young Redlegs will have to be at their very, very best. James bundles it over the line. Player on screen is a very underrated player. Paul Chapman has held down the centre square area for the Eagles for most of the year and would surely be looking for a big one today. The thump again from Thompson. He's winning the taps early. Scott Burns quickly and with some degree of poise. Couldn't get it away, though. This time it's Morford, the unfamiliar right leg. You'll have to stand your ground. Brett did very well.
That kid will never pull off a ball, ever. Drafted by Collingwood. If you're sitting in Melbourne, watch for this kid when he comes. He's terrifically hard.
Yes, he's kicked towards centre of the ground. Stephen Ziller working hard there. Can't take it. Richard Kelly can't. Rowe can. Caught. Not so. They call for holding the man. Oh, James and Payze. James goes down. And the umpire says too high on James.
I don't think it'd hurt him, would it?
Have a look at this in replay. All legal, that.
He just doesn't flinch. Somebody's going to take his head off one day. But one of his great attributes for a 20-year-old is his courage. He's played 91 games. He's 7th in the league in tackles. He just holds himself over the ball.
Yes, he went from the under-17 straight into league company. That's how much respect the Redlegs have for him. McIntosh to Rowe. He runs around in circles. It's characteristic of Stephen Rowe to do it. McIntosh, if he can get through, he can. He's got another one. He breaks 2. Holding the ball, the crowd scream. Ducker, back to McIntosh. The handball is a poor one from Ducker, and Tate takes it over the line.
Now, the thing about Gary McIntosh, number 14 for Norwood, there he is. Have a look at the goatee beard. Is that if he takes you on, he takes you on. He is one of the toughest men in South Australian football, and he just loves going at it.
And very critical to the outcome of this game as well. The Eagles have done pretty well in defence so far. Working hard inside half-back is Chapman. He's worked his way back very well. Over the head of Burns, who happily runs it to the line in front of the weed. Isn't that an awesome-looking sight? Number 11, he wears 33 for the Crows.
Kid from Fish Creek. Glad I didn't run into him at Fish Creek.
Well, he's been a real performer for the Crows this year. Does give away a lot of free kicks. We'll wait to see what happens today. Touched off the boot.
Oh, I think that's a fair assessment, Neville. You're not being unkind. He does give away a lot of free kicks, but what he does do is intimidate opposition sides. They just worry about him. Whenever he's within 20 metres of the ball, they're looking for him.
We're 13 minutes into the first term, and remember, we play 25 minutes plus time on. Quickly to Newman. Well done over the top to Payze. You'll need to be quick with the right leg he is. Brings it back inside towards the corridor. The player doing battle with Modra is their centre-half forward in young Sam Filippo. The bounce is created or forced by Ben Modra. And Filippo on screen there. Struggled for the first part of the season in the reserves.
Well, he was in the reserves. He was drafted by Footscray, and I just wondered whether that didn't give him a big head or just take his focus off the ball.
The Eagles, they're through half forward. Jason Ziller gives back to his brother Stephen. They're in long. Taylor in the front. Toombs gets the knock away. First to it. Modra happy to see that line come up. So, David, we're looking at a Coca-Cola hat. Been great sponsors of the mini league here in Adelaide, but we're, what, 14 minutes in? Only
nothing in it.
9 points. They couldn't be too unhappy with that, Norwood.
No, there's nothing in this at all. Either side at the moment, they're just settling down. And I think the Eagles have probably pushed the ball forward from half-back better, and it's been in their forward line more. But give credit to the Norwood defence. They've been a terrific defence, and when they start running, that's their game.
We're live at Footy Park here in South Australia, exclusively on ABC Sport.
Thompson did well to take it. Was claimed, and Brett James is doing well early in this game. He'll have his third kick from inside half-back. A wonderful accolade for him to be the vice-captain of the club, and he's carried it pretty well in the absence of McIntosh early in the season. Watch this for pace. Patterson takes 2 bounces, now a third. This picturesque ground is just the forum for this sort of free-flowing play. He powers it in towards the full forward line. Unfortunately for the Redlegs, there's no one there. Working back is Neve, playing in a back pocket. Spear, the Eagles work it out of trouble.
Yeah, they look pretty cool back there, don't they? They've played a pretty cohesive season together. As a throw, Scotty Robertson involved there.
Just sheer desperation. He had to get it on, and Robinson had the hand. He couldn't handball it. He just had no chance. Have a look. It's a pretty good tackle. He just grabbed an arm.
Yeah, good work by Robertson. He might be in the Swans next year. This is Patterson, number 2, as we said. He's nominated for the draft.
Ron Barassi's here having a look at him, Rock.
So Patterson, number 1 draft choice here in Adelaide. Morford, this is Pitt, half-forward flank around the corner. He's offline, but at least they've got it up in the action area. They're 1 goal, 1-7, the Redlegs. The Eagles are 2-3-15.
That's a pretty important point, as it turns out. That's Stephen Pitt, number 28, who didn't nominate for the draft. A lot of good judges in South Australia thought that he was perhaps one of the ideal players. This is Spear, 28, for the Eagles. He's been their fullback. He has done the best job of any defender in this final series.
The Spear kick. To half-back he goes, well snared by Ziller. Payze, Ziller, now Morford would love to get around on the left leg and does. Towards the 50-metre line he goes. James isn't there this time, or at least he's not close enough to the action because a good mark has been taken by Filippo at centre-half forward.
Now, Sam Filippo, his dad was a champion with the Eagles about 10 or 15 years ago. He's not a bad player, you know. He perhaps lacks a little bit of pace, but what he lacks in pace, he really makes up for in commitment, courage, and just having a real dip.
The mad Macedonian, Peter Filippo. Wasn't he an athlete?
Yes.
Let's have a look now at what Sam can do from 51 metres out. That ball bends around in the breeze. It comes back a long, long way. You won't want to know about it. Taylor shepherded it through. Jonathan Toombs just couldn't get access to the ball. The margin was blown out to 14 points the difference.
What a terrible mistake, David, not to cover the square like that.
Well, I was about to say there was some divine intervention in that kick. It was going way out. It was a terrifically educated kick. That breeze is stronger than we thought. But look at the shepherd by Taylor in the goal square as it comes through. And you had to say that as that ball came in, something's going right for the Eagles. But look at the good shepherd by Taylor. But I take your point. Unforgivable that nobody was defending for Norwood in the goal square.
So it's the Eagles, 3 goal 3 to 1 goal 1. You're live and exclusive on ABC Sport. We're 17 minutes in, first quarter. The Weidermann has got someone in his clutches, and that's Scotty Burns, and they call the weed. Should hear it on Crows Days here in Adelaide. It's phenomenal.
They're calling him Mr. Weed now, Rob.
Taylor on a lead, beautifully put. Great lead.
Now this fellow's the danger man. He got 10 goals only 3 weeks before he was suspended. He got 3 in the reserves preliminary final last week, but this man is the one who's capable of kicking a big score for the Eagles.
It's Taylor. He has 72. It's a shocking kick. Grand final nerves. Nickel goes to ground. Robin with him in there. McIntosh working deep in defence.
Keep in mind, of course, that Taylor hasn't really played at this level for 5 weeks. He was rubbed out in round 22. Striking, as you mentioned earlier, Stephen Patterson. He played in the reserves last week. David, you shake your head as if to say there's no excuse.
There's no excuse for that, truly. Doesn't matter.
Kluzak around the corner. I don't believe it. He's done it. Won't that give the Eagles a lift? His first, they're 4-3, 27. Norwood 1-1-7.
We saw Neil Baum in the crowd earlier. He's the coach of Melbourne, and Melbourne have drafted this kid, Matthew Kluzak. They had drafted him before he played a league game. Baum was the coach of the Eagles 2 years ago. He knew about this kid, and that's the sort of finish that Peter Dacos is renowned for, and that's the sort of finish that Matthew Kluzak can complete.
Craig Baum gets ready to come on and replace Michael Thompson. He might be just the measure too, Baum, to settle things down out there. 4-3 to 1-1. The Redlegs need to steady very quickly. Thompson's winning the taps, but unfortunately the Eagles are winning the centre square area. And now great mark taken by Stephen Ziller at half forward. Well, the Eagles are on fire early. Don't think he could quite get the distance from there. He sets it up. He does pretty well. How's my call? Because it's carried very, very easily, but offline. And through for one behind. The score is 4-4 to 1-1.
He kicked 2 goals in the second semi-final against Port Adelaide, but it's his possession rate. Now, Patterson, the number 2 rover, or numbered number 2 for Norwood, is playing on Ziller. They're playing wide of each other. They'll both pick up a lot of possessions, but it is something that Melbourne fans particularly would worry about, as rovers picking up large possessions without anyone picking them up.
Eames, he's playing on a wing. It's intercepted by Newman. Well done, Weidermann, just with sheer strength. Too high is the call. He'll got a free kick. So, already featuring. Having a bit to say about this game already. Across the ground, he's found Brewer. All in space. Too much latitude for him. He ditches it towards goal, but he's offline. And that is pretty loose. 2 points he has, Shane Brewer, to date.
Yes, but he's playing on a wing. He's normally a ruck rover for the Eagles as Baum comes on. Now, at the 20-minute mark of every quarter, Norwood do this. We're 19 minutes, 54 seconds in. They've made the change. They're regular as clockwork.
Jonathan Robin today taking the kick-ins for Jonathan Toombs. Well done, Robinson. Thumps it down and then receives it himself. Around the body on the left leg. The Eagles are winning at first possession of the ball at the moment. There's a very, very solid bump. Player still gets his kick away as tape. Here's McIntosh. Speaking of toughness, he runs at the line. He won't see that often. He's gone for holding the ball, so the Redlegs are under real siege.
You weren't happy with that, Neville?
Oh, it was a bit hard. He did everything he could to get rid of that footy.
Toombs, well done on the spoil. Taylor's there. He needs to put it towards the line or drag it in underneath his opponent's body. He does just that.
And the umpire on that McIntosh call was exactly behind him. He had no idea what he did with the footy. Just should have let it go.
Certainly a bit tough to tell.
Impossible's closer.
That umpire putting the ball down is Mark Westgarth. In fact, it's Richard Williams. His partner is Westgarth. Let's have a look at the weed. Around the body from 45. Not quite. Just offline. So the Redlegs just being let off the hook at the moment.
Well,
Eagles are 4-6 and Norwood are 1-1.
The Eagles have kicked themselves out of 2 games that I can think of this year. One of them was at Albert Nova, where they kicked something like 12 goals, 24. Port Adelaide kicked 9 goals, 2 and won the game. And it has been a worry.
The kick in, up they go. Scotty Robertson takes it and goes inside. He's got Matthew Kelly through the corridor. Tanner he wanted, but Brewer's just stolen it. Punches it towards goal. He might have Taylor, not quite. And they're offline again. Now that's Brewer's 3rd point. He meant to go to goal then, so he's just been offline.
Now the reason the Eagles are playing Brewer on a wing is that they were worried about Grant Tanner's pace. Now Brewer's killing him for pace, and Brewer's setting up goal-scoring opportunities.
So strike one for the Eagles coach Bruce Winter early in this grand final. Robrin from half-back, he comes. A little shove out by Eames. The umpire said it's okay, lets it play on. The ball runs to the line and Eames lets it go over in front of our cameras on boundary side.
Now, Eames won the J.J. Liston Trophy in the VFA in 1991 when he played with Werribee, but I was talking to, there's Coach Neil Craig, final instructions, but I was talking to Wayne Harms, former Carlton champ, and he spent some time with him at Brunswick, and he said he couldn't get a game there.
Yes, well, there you are. It's the fortunes of football. Never stop trying. Lifting himself off the turf. Richard Kelly, number 35.
The thing about Anthony Eames is that he's just set himself into a team pattern, and he's playing to that pattern and done very well.
McIntosh with a chance. He got the knock from Baum around the corner. He does well to keep it down low, Macca. And
they're a good effort. They're aware, the Eagles, aren't they? Every time McIntosh goes near the ball, they're just pushing him off it. They're bustling off it. They're not going to let him tuck the ball under his arm like he normally does.
No, and he'll be used to the body work. Don't worry about that. Weidermann, he's getting more of the footy than Macca at the moment, though. Weidermann sidesteps. Have a look at this. Takes a run, 2 bounces, High, Taylor, Toombs behind. Too far for both of them. Modra reads it better. He's doing the sweeping at the back. He's got two on his right, goes around the corner towards the boundary line, and I think pretty happy that that's where it ended up. 23 minutes in, and the score at Football Park, 4-7 the Eagles, Norwood 1-1.
Well, you look at it, and Norwood haven't done too bad a job, but they trail by 24 points, and that's the worry. The Eagles have just kept accumulating scores.
Barman Nickel. Pitt intelligently took possession of the ball rather than tap it on. Unfortunately for him, he was well claimed by Jason Ziller. And right on the 50-metre line, we'll have a bounce down. We're nearing time on. In a sense, Norwood have done well to hang on, and in another, they've been very lucky that the Eagles have been offline. Free kick. And it will go to Craig Baum inside halfback. So the feisty veteran who has the distinction of being one of only two players out there for the Redlegs who played in the '84 premiership side. The other is Gary McIntosh. Here's Stephen Rowe. Deft handball. Here's McIntosh again, and DeSenneman, Richard Williams. Feigns, comes back inside, probably held it a little too long. In the end, gets the drop punt away and is lucky to find Christian O'Brien at half forward. Lifts the eyes, will no doubt be looking for Chris Prime. Where is he? Duck is another option. Off hands and through for a behind.
One of the things O'Brien didn't do that Norwood have been doing through the finals, getting the ball on quickly. O'Brien just sat back on the kick. It was uncharacteristic of Norwood. They've come from fifth, they've come from nowhere, but their game plan has been to move it quickly. That time he sat back, and I'm sure Neil Craig will get the runner out to him.
Well, I think the Norwood side are just happy to have the footy in their forward line. They haven't had it there much this quarter, and they're going into a very stiff breeze. We may have even underestimated it. The flags are really moving here at Footy Park. The kick in is close to the boundary line. Robertson, he's helped out by Pitt, goes inside, tap, plenty of space. Primes the target, or Patterson, he's kicked it too wide, and they're the signs in a grand final that really kick your tail, aren't they, Stephen?
Certainly are, and Patterson tried valiantly to make the ground. He couldn't quite do it. Spear, now short pass, and Weidermann creating some damage early.
Did he mark that? I think he dropped it.
Oh, you're a hard man. As Weidermann takes it inside halfback and thumps it towards centre wing. What's his target? I think it's Stuart Nickel. In under the ball is Robinson. The Eagles at the moment very quick to tackle.
Number 2, Stephen Ziller, is the man who's doing all the damage. Now, he was 6th in the league in tackles this year, and he is an underrated player. He's tough and he's mean, but the thing he does do, he just stops opposition players getting past him.
The Eagles by 31-8 with the use of a breeze. Stuart Nickel. Quickly, Kluzak, wide, Chapman, through the centre he goes. If the Eagles are making any mistakes, it's just that they are pounding it into their forward line rather than having a real look. Taylor with an opportunity, but Modra gets back, forces the tackle, players to ground. Newman, quick hands, Filippo, if he can see, he can. To the right of him, he had Ziller and Payze. This is Payze, number 7, a Crows player, Tate. Tries to give it to Jason Ziller, he loses his feet. In comes Christian O'Brien on Filippo. Great work, he's trying to make something happen. And I can tell you the Norwood side are in this grand final because they have made some things happen. They really do have a dip.
Very good point. That's exactly what Norwood need to do now. They just need to get fired up, get some emotion into their game. And if that means taking a couple of heavy bodies, they have to do it. They've got to go into quarter time believing that their biorhythms are up, that they're going to win.
And moreover, they need to get access to the ball. First access and give themselves a chance. Pies found another free kick. David Newman is the man. First ruckman. As the eyes come up, Taylor's definitely the target. Watch him use the body. This time it's thumped away. Robinson does well to take possession, and with the arms free, gets it away towards Jonathan Robran. Takes, breaks, and fires it towards centre wing. O'Brien is there, so too is McIntosh. Eames, and running it back is Jamie Tate. He'll need to keep feet. Doesn't do so, still gets it free. The umpire should call play on and does. Payze gets it back, pushes it over towards the player in Primke, who's come down from centre half-back. Thumps the long kick in towards the corridor. Players there. Jonathan Toombs thumps it away. Robran is claimed very strongly and very quickly and forces a bounce.
Again, the Eagle forwards hold it in, but they are playing disciplined football. They're not passing off to the flank. They're centering the ball every time. Their game plan is very good and they're sticking to it.
We're at half forward for the Eagles. And I'd love another one before quarter time. Filippo tries to steal it, he can't. Wiedemann's there. Coming out with the footy is Pitt, Stephen Pitt. Brewer caught by Tanner, gives it off quickly to Scott Robertson. Slick work, Rose on his left, he'll kick it himself though. Towards half forward, Prime held from behind, can't get to the footy. Loose ball now, Ducker, first touch. Second, it goes down with Schwarz. Rowe winds his way through. This is Smart, quickly, he'll be tackled, great tackle Brewer. Patterson Patterson, a charge from 20, open goal, he's got it! His first, the Red League second, as they make a mockery of going into the breeze.
David Robertson's doing very well from half-back, isn't he? He's one of the very few defenders at the moment who is giving them some run. The rest seem to be doing their best to shut things down, but Scott Robinson is really providing them with some flair through half-back.
Well, that's where they set it up, but Patterson's finish is very good. He's been a goal-kicking rover this year, 78 goals for the year. Not a bad effort. He got 3 against Port Adelaide when they whipped the Magpies in the preliminary. You're right, it's the run from half-back they need.
The first quarter, and we are well into time on. The score is the Eagles, 4-7. Norwood at 2-2, 17 points the difference. Back in the centre square, big pack of players. Can Norwood hold on for the remainder of this term? If they haven't done a bad job.
Well, they've taken the margin back to 17 points from 23, and that might be very important when we're analysing this game as a post-mortem.
Through the middle of the ground, Morfitt couldn't take possession. Player who can, though, towards Taylor. And Taylor takes a very good mark, was Kluzak.
Now, if you were an AFL scout, you'd be thinking about this kid, but he's had a go with Footscray. He's had a go with the Brisbane Bears, and he's been sent back to South Australia. He's too good in this competition. He can't make it to the next level.
Yes, he's dominated the competitions from full forward. And that kick, Andrew, is just perfect. Splits the centre of the goals, and just when we thought Norwood could go in at quarter time with a respectable scoreline, it blows out by 6 more points, 5-7 to 2-2.
That gives Andrew Taylor goal number 84 for the year. He won't kick the ton, of course, well, not unless he gets a lot today, but I think the point is he's been a real focal point. He's only played 1 game in the reserves. He's played every other game for the season. He's played 24, and a terrific focal point.
29.5 minutes into the first term, and the margin has blown out to 23 points. Richard Williams in the centre from the left of screen. It looks as though Nicol has gone into ruck. Balm from the right, and again the Eagles exit it from centre square. They've done very well in that area. Jason Ziller, just a little push at the right time, and takes it right on the 50-metre line. Where's Taylor? Looks for him, uses the body very well. Jonathan Rodbrenner was up to it this time. Reflex came from Burns, James, Toombs, and the Redlegs are temporarily at least out of trouble. That's almost a mark. The umpire blows the whistle and says yes.
He's very cool, Jamie Tate. This kid's a Richmond draft. His last 4 games have been something out of the box. He's just got better and better.
Tape, awkward looking kick towards centre half forward. Really would have taken some catching. Kelly couldn't grab hold of it either. Here's Stephen Ziller's done very, very well early in the game. He thumps it up. Norwood's defender is under all sorts of pressure. Where is it, Jonathan? There it is. Now thumps it to the line. Intelligently and very well.
And Norwood have made a change. There's a happy Eagle fan. They lead by 13 points. Why wouldn't she be?
And the siren goes to end the first term here at Football Park in the 1993 Grand Final. It saw the Eagles start very well. They're 5-7, a 23-point advantage over Norwood, who are 2-2.
I'll give Norwood credit. The Eagles were the dominant team in the early part of that quarter, but they really hung on. Their defence was desperate. They just forced the ball wide. They tried to move it on. They just wouldn't allow the Eagles to have a free run at goal. But in fairness, the Eagles were offline a number of times. They could have nailed it home much better than they did. But at quarter time, this game is very evenly poised.
We're expecting showers later in the day, but just at the moment it is perfect for football. Overcast and the ground in perfect order. The ball held aloft for the start of the second term of the 93 Grand Final. Balm has stayed on for the Redlegs. Newman from right of screen for the Eagles will front up first.
As the ball comes in long, we've lost audio there. We should just let you know. Taper was up. Tucker, handballs off quickly. Pitt was run down by Weed. The Weed has been a factor. Chapman almost gave it away. Ducker couldn't get clear. Now Schwarz out to Jason Ziller. Chapman, and they move it sweetly away from defence, the Eagles. The target was Payze. It was too long for him. Burns inside the line. Couldn't keep it in play. And the ball across the line. Now, we got you back on, Triggy.
Thanks, David. Good teamwork and good backup.
Oh, it was a good handball, I thought. Thanks for that. I've always wanted to call a grand final.
Just fell out at the wrong time, that little cord. Let's have a look at Newman and Balm. Balm gets it away. Obviously, Neil Craig feels as though he's doing the better at the moment in the rucking department. Weidermann loses feet at critical time. Just the shove off of Patterson was too easy. Sweeps around with the left leg towards centre half forward, but Robinson, who's doing very well early, takes it at half back.
He's slick, isn't he? He's just very good overhead. That's his big factor.
It looks as if Kluzak and Payze have changed sides on the wings. We'll have a closer look at that. Kelly to McIntosh is no good. O'Brien takes it. It's a free kick. It's against Weidermann, and Gary McIntosh will take that. Skipper of the Norwood Footy Club, played in 82 and 84 flags. He'll love another one today. A chance for Rowe. Ducker. First kick, not quite. Primke, or Rogers, I should say. Neem and Payze there together. They tap it on. In the back of Chapman was Kelly. No such thing, says the umpire. Eames a quick one. Loose ball. We're at half forward for the Redlegs. It's spinning out of trouble. We can pick up a jumper there. I think that was Pitt.
Neville, this Eagles side reminds me very much of Hawthorn of the 80s. They're just at you and at you and at you. Essendon have developed a running game. They just run sides off their feet, as the West Coast Eagles do. But the Eagles have developed this combat style of football that Hawthorn used so well in the 80s.
They're a very well balanced side. They've got great strike power with the Taylors and Nichols and their smaller players, Zillas, Stephen and Jason.
Has he hurt, Patterson? He is. Gee, that's not good news. It's not like him to go for a dive and not get up. He's in trouble.
Yes, and let's hope that it's only a knock, because they'll be relying on Patterson, particularly this quarter, with this strong breeze. We're 2 minutes in. It's the Eagles by 5-7 to 2-2.
Inside the half-forward line for the Redlegs. Good body work there by Primke. Shoveled it out in the end towards the player in O'Brien. Schwarz in game 250 gets it towards the far side of the ground. The trainers scatter to get out of the path of Paul Chapman, who was under some siege from O'Brien, or was it player there in Burns? It was Burns. And a big crowd looking in at Football Park today.
It's a long way to go, but they're not too happy at the moment, Norwood fans, by the look of those couple on the boundary line.
Well, they're trailing, and they'd be very, very nervous, as everyone associated with this game is today. It's a typical grand final.
Well, they have the breeze. They have good defensive action, by the way. Their big strength has been the quick run out of defence, delivering it long into their forward line. They haven't yet had the opportunity to do that.
So, to ground again, and we'll have another ball up. And the breeze to right of screen. So the Redlegs have got it this quarter, and it would be magnificent for them to go in somewhere around level. So they have to kick about 3 or 4 goals to do that. Chance for Jason Ziller. Rowe, busy, goes to ground, and he's back maybe. Tape claims him. That's Jamie Tape, number 5. Richmond supporters might see him in Melbourne next year.
Well, you've got the inside oil at Richmond. Is he going?
I think he'll be there, and it'll be good for the Tigers. We didn't have a very good year this year, and I know that he's high on the list.
Is he ready?
Yes, he is, in my opinion.
Back to the game. Here's the player in Anthony Eames. Protection for ball carriers provided very well. Eames, very important kick. What's he done with it? Just offline. Prime couldn't get there. He was rampaging towards the goals, but it goes over for a point. The Eagles are 5-7. Norwood are 2-3.
Eames is a goal-scoring wingman. He's got 29 goals this year from his 24 games, so he does like to kick a goal.
And Spear, Jason Spear to bring the ball back in. He's a left footer. He comes to the grandstand side. Newman at the back of the pack. Primke, he helped him out there with a bit of a shepherd and did it well.
How strong's that breeze, Neville? That ball went 65 metres.
Yes, it might just be a bit gusty at the moment. Opportunity, Payze, plenty of room. He punches it in and did it brilliantly to give it to Stephen Ziller.
Well, I'm not sure if Ziller was the target. Andrew Taylor was out there. Right. That's where the ball was heading. There just was no penetration in the kick.
Oh, we're just trying to give him a bit of a leg up. Stephen Ziller. 50 out. In he comes. He's got some distance with him. That is a super kick and goal. Oh, brilliantly done. His first. The Eagles are 6-7, 43. Norwood 2-3, 15.
All right, how strong is the breeze, fellas?
It carried a long way, didn't it? It's probably not as significant as it looks. The flags on top of the concourse are standing up, but that kick did carry a long, long way.
Well, I'm just having a look at the flags. It's bewildered me a little bit because Norwood weren't getting any penetration there, and you see a little rover, who is a penetrating kick, by the way, kick at 55 metres into the breeze.
The Eagles are 6-7. Norwood are 2-3. Back in the centre square, Balm and Newman. Thought for my part that Thompson was actually on top early in the rucking department, but Balm has stayed on in the second term. Player got fired out of the pack was Filippo, and a rebounce in the centre square area.
Now, we shouldn't forget either that Norwood have trailed in every final. Neil Craig would know that, by the way. He's got his game plan. He said that during the week, didn't he? He said, we've got our game plan. As long as we stick to it, we'll be OK.
The second half invariably has been much better. The Eagles go into attack again. Crowd calls for a free, but it's not there. Tanner. Now James, one of the most resolute defenders in the league, fires it towards centre wing into the path of Sam Smart. We've not seen hide nor hair of him so far. We have of this young man though, and that's Brewer. Schwarz Primke, one step and bangs it towards the 50-metre line. Spoiled away. Jason Ziller reads it the best. Feeds off to Chapman. That kick's going to take some catching, let me tell you. Spoil is put on by Jonathan Toombs, and he did very well. Gee, the Norwood defence is under some pressure.
That was educated, Filippo. He knew he was in trouble. He took a dive and turned at the same time. And it's very difficult. Look at him. Very difficult to gather in a player that's turning on you and falling at the same time. He earned that free kick. It was very clever.
And his head ripped off, really, didn't it?
Well, it doesn't matter how you get them, Rock. This is a grand final. I think he'd accept 2 broken noses.
So let's watch this and just see how significant this breeze is.
Filippo from just outside 50. Thumps it towards the goals, carries, and it's a goal. Filippo gets his second. The Eagles have started the second term very well. They get their 7th.
What a dream this is for this young kid. He spent 10 games in the reserves this year. He couldn't find a posse with Shackey and Taylor dominating up forward. When Shackey fell out of favour late in the year, he came back and just took his opportunity. He's kicked 18 goals in his 15 games. He's not a penetrating kick, and he still made the distance from 50 out.
7 minutes gone, second quarter. The Eagles are 7-7-49. Norwood at 2-3-15. So danger time for Norwood. Critical time for Norwood. A good opportunity for the Eagles if they can keep going. Weidermann with strength. He's caught. Too high's the call.
I think they tried to knock him out.
Well, if they have, they've failed miserably because the kick is brilliantly put. Jamie Tape up from half-back. And Richard Kelly.
He's a runner, this fellow.
Through the centre, Brewer again by himself. Robertson late on the scene. Brewer too strong with the hands out in front of his head. He has done some damage.
Well, if he kicks this, Norwood are in real trouble. Now,
short opportunity. Nickel on a lead. Couldn't quite take it. Well done by Eames, who got back late. Nickel Payze. A snapshot. High and a little wide. Misses to the left. So the Eagles, they're 50, Norwood are 15 points.
The real hard work was done by Chapman there, who just provided a shepherd for both Nickel and Payze to complete their work. He does a lot of things, Chapman, that go unnoticed.
Norwood are obviously concerned about Shane Brewer on centre wing because they put Stephen Pitt to that position to try and close him down. Tanner has gone to half-back. In fact, he's gone to half-forward, other end of the ground. Stephen Rowe bursts his way through. They need a little bit of that. Here's Tanner, now Stephen Pitt. From half-back or in the centre of the ground, he goes to half-forward, and here's Ducker. First possession for the game.
He's a man who could turn this game. He's got 3 goals, 1 against Central, 1 goal, 4 against Glenelg, 2 goals, 3 against Port. His best is 8 goals, 3 against Port Adelaide in round 21.
He is so critical. They can't afford to have Chris Prime carry the load in his first season. Mark Ducker carries much responsibility. That kick, Mark is not the best. Way offline, through for 1 behind, an opportunity missed. Norwood along to 2-4. They trail the Eagles on 7-8.
I still don't think Mark Ducker's fit. That's a kick we saw 2 or 3 weeks ago when he was having that hamstring problem, where he was just pulling and jagging at his kicks, and he's doing it again.
Yes, he's had hamstring and knee problems, and alongside him, Chris Prime's got groin problems, so not that fit at full forward as Rowe steers them back in again. Playing in front is Neve. He's been great this season in a back pocket. Tanner's caught. Weidermann, have a look at this. Brute strength. A chance for Stephen Ziller. Pit in late and out of bounds. The crowd, that applause is for number 11, Wayne Weidermann. He's had his hands on the footy too much for Norwood's liking, I would think.
We should explain he's a cult figure in South Australia playing for the Crows.
Yes, indeed. And as you said before, known as the Viking. Hard to imagine how he got that name, isn't it, really? Stephen Ziller, beautifully smothered, though, and it's out of bounds. 10 minutes gone. And we've got an interchange player, Lachlan Bowman, ready to come on, and we'll update you about what move Norwood are making.
Well, I think they're going to have a look at Jonathan Toombs, who, for some obscure reason, after a great season, is having a pretty ordinary day at full-back and in a back pocket now.
Running it towards the line is Chapman. Macca gave chase, but was well picked off by Brewer. Didn't enjoy it either, Macca, to half-forward, and a good spoil put on by Ben Modra across the line. Well, Norwood, for their part, need a couple, and they need them very quickly to get themselves back with some momentum. The Eagles have played very, very well. They're into the breeze. And so far in this term have fired through 2. Norwood just the 1 solitary point so far, and we're 10.5, nearly 11 minutes in to this, the second term. Here's Patterson. Claim too high? Yes.
Now, he's the one player who is playing with some emotion. Have a look at him. He wants to get on with the game, and he's trying everything he can. He just needs a few mates.
And a good spoil out of bounds. Centre wing. Live and exclusive on ABC Sport around Australia and Southeast Asia. And we're 11 minutes into the second quarter. The 20th grand final at Football Park in Ruck Primke, but it was Smart who got the knock away. Kelly can't grab it. Zilla brothers combine, but interrupting them is Brett James. He's caught, he's collared, and he goes to ground. Lucky to get away with that. And we'll have a ball up right in front of our commentary position.
He is one player at the moment, though, who is making some play. He's going and attacking the football. He's not reactive to what the Eagles are doing. And you've got to give him credit for that at the moment out of a back pocket.
Craig Baum taps it back to Tanner. Quickly, Kelly can't do it. Brewer, have a look at the talent there. That's a magnificent individual effort. Stephen Zilla, or Jason, I should say, a chance for Taylor with the spill. Weidermann at 50. Taylor Shepherds. He's got some space now. Toombs got rid of him. Jason Zilla from 40. Straight at goal. Oh, the Eagles. Too good. He's first. The Eagles are 56. Norwood at 2-4-16.
Now, if you blinked, you wouldn't know the difference between Jason Zilla, number 56, and Stephen Zilla, number 2. They're brothers, but I can tell you they're just as effective as each other. In the second semi-final against Port Adelaide, they both had 30 possessions each. 60 possessions from your two rovers. Make sure you win games, and they're doing it again today, and their tackling is outstanding.
Jason Zilla did the finishing work, but I can tell you that Weidermann and Brewer are cutting them to pieces. 8-8 to 2-4. 12.5 minutes in the second term. Now's the time, Redlegs. Stand up and be counted in the centre square. Baum will do his best, as will McIntosh, but the ball's with another Eagle. Gets up to Stephen Zilla and hands it back.
All right, Neville, you've been in this position. If you were Neil Craig, would you drop a man into defence just to slow down the Eagles' attacking thrust, or would you just tell your boys to keep attacking?
No, I think he's got to stay attacking at the moment. He's got to give himself a chance to kick some goals, so he'll keep his players the way they are, as Weidermann and Newman combined to go in forward. Off the ground, Brewer will concede the point. But no, Craig won't panic. I mean, they went into this game knowing it was going to be very hard. They're playing a much better team, so they really need the breaks. And to date, the Eagles have they've been cool, haven't they? They're playing as well as you'd expect them to play. They'd be happy with that. And this might be how the odds sit at the moment. And the Eagles, well, the North, sorry, need something to really go wrong for the Eagles. It's not happening at the moment. Kelly to James is good, and they have control at half-back.
Just slowing things down somewhat. James lifts the eyes, puts it towards centre wing. Good mark. No, not taken by Stephen Pitt. Smart did well on the take, though, and from one step pushes it to half forward. Over the head of O'Brien. He needs to do a little more in terms of his work rate through that area. Another bounce down inside half forward. One of the things that Norwood have done so well through the year is to push back inside half-back and their full-back line. They're just not getting back quick enough at the moment, as a big crowd looks on at Football Park.
Primke, Morfitt, now Neve. He's got a quick kick in, and they're out of strife, the Eagles. Kluzak, I should say. And doing pretty well. He goes inside, loose, too loose to Chapman. The Eagles, they go into the breeze. Over half forward, Taylor in front, can't quite take it. Oh, the spillers with Nickel, tried to tap it on. Weidermann again, he's collared, gets it away to Jason Zilla, inside to Taylor, out wide. Tate, up from half back, and the defender is absolutely ecstatic, and so he should be, his first goal. The Eagles 9, 63 plays 16.
I'll put you in there, well, too. That's actually his first goal for the season. That's in a grand final. And he came from half-back and just kept coming. But look at the good hands of the Eagles here. Jason Zilla, then Taylor. That was a left-hand handball wide, 20 metres. It gave Tate space. That's his first goal for the year. He'll remember that. We might just give him a action replay.
Yes, and have a look at that. He turned around before the ball had even cleared the deck. Brilliant goal.
9-9 to 2-4. The baby Redlegs are under siege, no doubt about it, as the Eagles make a change. How's that for doing it tough? Shaki comes onto the ground to replace Nickel, so Norwood are really under some pressure at the moment. It's not a bad replacement. Lawrence Shaki has been very effective all year, and when you can replace a quality player like Stuart Nickel, you've got some depth.
Too right you have, and I was just thinking that what a luxury position to be in, and I was a bit critical in playing Shaki, but a dry day at Footy Park, it's not a bad option, is it? 6'3" or 4" player to come on. Zilla, Brewer, and Taylor. From 50, Taylor arrogantly on his left boot, goes in long. Underneath it was Bowman, and he forces a ball out of bounds as Norwood make a change. Thompson for Baum.
Now, remember that they've just made a change only moments ago. Bowman went to a back pocket to pick up Nickel, and Jonathan Toombs came off. So the Eagles just counter-punched and brought on fresh legs in Shackey.
Here's Weidermann, looks to charge his way through. He's really created some havoc for the Redlegs so far.
Well, who hasn't?
Well, particularly Weidermann. His structure of the game is very good. He's been sitting on the back play, working it back into the attacking zone, doing very well.
He's the dominant player, there's no doubt. But the point I was making is that he's had plenty of mates.
And fending off players and really cutting a swathe for himself. Here's a player on the boundary side there in Taylor, I think it was. In fact, Weidermann again. Couldn't keep it in play. We've played 16 and a half, nearly 17 minutes. As Bruce Winter looks on in the second term. He's the Eagles coach and would, I'm sure, be pretty happy just at the moment.
He'd be ecstatic, I would think, and he won't be cracking any smiles early, but they're in a good position. Morford hasn't had a lot of touches. He gets it off to Payze from 50. Shackey at the back, in the back.
That's not cool. Fellas, we've seen sides lose from 7 goals up in a finals.
You won't be getting any of my money on that.
Well,
very good position, and I think it's, as I said earlier, I think it's indicative of the two sides and how they separate themselves in simple talent. As Chapman winds his way out of trouble, he does it brilliantly. Weidermann to Morford. They're running the Eagles. They'll have another shot at goal. Morford. A goal. His first. 69. The Eagles. Norwood at 2-4-16. They're getting a hammering.
Yes, they are, and it's now time, Neville. I just suggested it perhaps earlier that Norwood might have just dropped a ruckman back or a ruck rover back to fill in the hole and congest the Eagles' forward line. You made the point they had to keep attacking, but now it's rife. They have to get somebody back there, perhaps just drop an extra one man or two and go forward into their forward line quickly with space.
Maybe that will work, but each player is accountable. He has one player out there. They need to shut their own down. 10-9 to 2-4. 18 minutes into the second term. We've been saying it for a few moments, but it is absolutely crunch time for the Redlegs as Kluzek gets it. This man is just creating so much trouble through half forward. Gets it towards the player in Chapman, who's also been effective from centre. Thumps it towards the pocket. Where's Robin? Sits. Pushes it towards the line. Not far enough because Stephen Ziller has really broken through the pack and has nailed it. He's second. The Eagles are ecstatic. So too their fans. They get their 11th on the board.
Oh, and I can tell you, I've seen a few Redleg heads drop. That's a dangerous sign. Ziller with just sheer pace. Look at him, he's 20 metres clear of the ball there, and here he comes. Like a good racehorse, he just took off. Kelly was his direct opponent. Kelly just didn't have the pace to go with him. And then to top it off, a little check side shot at goal, if you don't mind. That's arrogance.
The Eagles, they finished top of the ladder with 15-4 and 1 draw. Norwood finished fourth with 12 and 8. And that's obvious on the scoreboard. 11-9, 75 the Eagles, 2-4-16 the Redlegs. And they need something. And they'd be disappointed to date with their on-ballers. I think Stephen Rowe's given them anywhere near enough. Patterson's been okay. Across the centre, I think maybe more from Tanner, certainly more from Eames. They haven't given their forwards much of an opportunity at all to date.
Brett James has gone into the centre, and Richard Kelly, who was playing there, has gone into a back pocket.
Okay, well, for our viewers interstate, Brett James, number 4, has played a lot of football in the centre, and he usually plays out of a back pocket, though. But he's very talented, good skills. There's Neil Craig, and been in plenty of grand finals before, mostly as a player, though, well, never as a coach before, and he'd be resigned to the tough job ahead of him right now. Up they go, Scotty Robertson, McIntosh, high into half forward. The Eagles, though, leading the race for the ball. Have a look at that. Nearly a slips catch. Neve heavily burdened with bodies from Christian O'Brien, number 41 in screen, and it's out of bounds.
Now, O'Brien is one player that will take you on physically, and he's just looking for a spark. He's trying to do anything that he can to get his side moving.
Right half forward to Rowe. Can he get them going? Not this time, because he's well claimed by the player in Jason Ziller. And that defensive action of the Eagles has been very good. There's been much speculation and much talk about how good their forward line is, but their defensive zone has been miserly throughout the year.
Well, they've conceded the least points in the competition. It's a recommendation of its own.
From the air, Smart, Rowe. McIntosh decides to do a bit of fending off of his own. The Redlegs are under all sorts of siege. Rowe gets it away to Tanner. Patterson. Look at this for good defensive work from the Eagles. Inside half forward now for the Redlegs. This way and that. They just can't get a clear shot at it. Can Macca. There's an incisive handball to Pitt. and the Redlegs get their third. All set up by Macca, and if he can really get himself into this game, it will make an enormous difference.
Well, Macca decided about 3 weeks ago that he was going to get his young Redlegs into the grand final. He did it at stages single-handedly. In the qualifying final, he had 18 kicks, 18 handballs, and 90% of them were after half-time when they really were dying, the Redlegs. And it looks like to me that he's just set his mind to it again, and he's going to do everything.
It was a beautiful piece of slick handwork, wasn't it, to get it to Pitt?
Just perseverance, Neville.
Just had to persevere. There were more Eagles there than met the British at Gallipoli, I think. 11.975, 3.4.22. Weidermann, a chance. Oh, he's dancing around everywhere. He tried the same sort of handball as McIntosh, didn't come off on that occasion. And through Eames, he got that from Scotty Burns, chip short. Not long enough for Chris Prime. He's had no opportunities. He's beaten man for man by Spear there, though. Tate goes high and long, and he's got Morford just backward of centre wing.
Look at how they just pick out players out of defence.
Good smother on the kick-off by Birds. They're a chance now. This is Patterson. Puts it in high. They need a big player. Rowe tries the impossible. Too many players there. The Eagles have just got the numbers, and they're doing more work. Running it out is Peter Schwarz. Over the top will be Kluzak. Back with him, though, is Scotty Robertson. 1-to-1. Both can't get their hand to it. Finally to Newman. He's checkered and held. Holding the man is the call. Helped by about 30,000 screaming fans. Richard Williams awards the free kick to David Newman.
Just held on a little too long. Now he puts it in towards centre half forward. The target there is Shackey. Not this time. Macca's covering some ground. Gets the reflex to Robran. Scott Burns has been effective. To the centre of the ground he goes. Big pack of players and a thump, and again, it's an Eagles player that emerges, but this time not quick enough, Paul Primke. Good enough on the recovery to get it to Stephen Ziller. Fires it towards full forward. Taylor sets himself. Rodman kept feet. The umpire says it all with a slap of the hand and says it was touched.
And behind play, Wayne Weidermann has just picked up Gary McIntosh and dumped him. You don't think there's no love lost behind play with those two?
Two fairly rugged characters, to say the very least. Thompson back onto the deck, replaced Barham a little earlier. This is Scott Burns. Around his body he goes. They just can't get it nice and neat at the moment, Norwood. They're under enormous pressure. Schwarz gets it from Chapman and chips short. Has Stephen Ziller. He's a prodigious kick of the ball, as we saw earlier in the term. He sets sail for goals, and I think he might have got his third. He has. Hasn't he played a game, young Stephen Ziller? 12-9 to 3-4.
Well, he's heading for the best on the ground in my book. He's called it. He is a prodigious kick for a little fella. He was 55 metres out into the breeze, and he made the distance and put it through. Neiman comes off for a rest. Stuart Nicol comes back onto the ruck, and the Eagles are just sweeping it all before them.
And the goal kickers, Stephen Ziller has 3, leads the way from Taylor and Phillippo, 2 each. Morford and Tate 1. Patterson, Prime and Pitt for Norwood.
Right on the doorstep of time on. 12-9 to 3-4. The Eagles will go down the race at half-time, very pleased with themselves, and knowing that the last 60 minutes of the game could see them through to their first premiership in 3 years of a combination.
Well, it's unheard of, really.
Thought you were looking at me like that as if to say it's too early a call. They look very composed at the moment.
Oh, no, I think 10 goals up at half-time. You've got to back them. Neiman enjoys a well-earned rest. Drafted by St Kilda. Used to be a big, blubbery kid. Now look at him, just a rock of muscle. St Kilda will be trying to get him across the border next year, I'm sure.
Nicol, but it's Robertson trying the impossible. Burns stays on the ground. Eames helps him out. He gets a quick kick towards half forward. Rowe leads the race. He'd want to take this. Can't quite. Well spoiled by Neve. Oh, brilliantly done, Brewer. Balance and Rogers in to help. Players hit the deck behind play. Rogers, though. Oh, they got heads on him like mice. The Eagles are everywhere. Nicol now at centre wing. The crowd want Macca on 50. Not so, says the umpire, as Nicol steers it in towards half forward. Phillippo, front, can't take it. Loose ball, Jason Ziller. Patterson and Tanner have him. And we'll have another ball up.
Now, that's the first time I reckon the Eagles have deviated from their game plan of playing straight down the centre. That's the first pass I've seen that's gone to a flank.
Well, I guess they just had to kick on the line. The players ran to the foot and to the vision, and that made... it makes some sense, but it would have been hard for him to have steered it back through the centre. Weidermann got it inside to Chapman, gives up the footy. Modra, McIntosh puts it down. That is very uncharacteristic. And Pitt finally shoves it forward but out of bounds.
invariably when a side chases, they look tired. And of course, the Eagles are making all the play at the moment, for which those fans will be very pleased. But the point is that Norwood look tired, and I know that they trained 4 times during the week. Players like McIntosh and Baum, it's a big ask in terms of a finals campaign, then trained 4 times, and I can tell you, I was interested to notice that they trained for 40 minutes last night, pretty solidly.
Well, the Eagles haven't played for 13 days, and Norwood gets 6 days rest and 4 days on the track. Pretty hard, isn't it? Prepke at half forward.
Crowd call for a 50.
You're suggesting, Stephen, that they've trained too much this week?
Well, I think they may be looking for a rest, particularly the more experienced players. Spoke about the AFL finals, the baby Bombers, but this is really a baby side, the Norwood side, as Burns puts it towards half forward. I'm just saying from the point of view of Macca, who has a suspect shoulder, that he could be tired with 4 training sessions during the week, followed by, or preceded by, there he is, just holding that shoulder, preceded by 3 very tough games in the lead up to the final.
Yes, they had to beat Central District in the elimination, Glenelg the first, and Port Adelaide in the preliminary to get here. And the Eagles, just 1 game, September the 19th, it was a Sunday, they beat Port Adelaide to earn the right into a grand final. McIntosh on knee. Fair as you like, though. They got away with it, though, the Eagles. They're clever. They've got players everywhere. Good hands, good running. And they go over half forward again. Sam Filippo there. He'll let the ball go out of bounds. And we'll have another throw-in. Number 17 is Sam Filippo. He has 2 goals, 1 in each quarter.
Boundary throw-in. 50-metre line for the Eagles. They've done very well into the breeze. They've scored 7 goals, so an indication of how they've dominated this game. Patterson has tried very hard towards centre wing. Stephen Rowe is there. James always runs on line. Took one too high. Never a free there, though. Dragged back under the body very well by a player there, and I think that the mop is that of Jason Ziller.
No, Simon Neve, the little back pocket player, and Rowe just put him in a bear hug. Neve's doing a terrific job in the back pocket, as he has done all year. He's kept last season's regular back pocket and vice-captain Steve Geyer right out of this team.
And an ex-Norwood player as well, so he'd be enjoying this more so as James reflex on the up. An indication perhaps of that tiredness that Rowe couldn't take it. Thompson, Pitt, here's Robinson, and the enforcer, the Weed, working in the second effort, which is very good as Stephen Pitt. He gets one just for his measure from the Weed and gets up very, very sore.
Wayne Weidermann, Stuart Nicol there with him. He's number 43. And we've spoken a lot about Weidermann today. He'd have to be right up there with Stephen Ziller as the best man on the ground. Rowe, too high surely on young Brett James. Oh, that's a terrible decision. He dunked, said the umpire. Maybe so, and I might have missed it. But a bit hard. Just backward as centre wing. 29 minutes gone. And 49 points separates these 2 sides. What a massive margin. Stephen Ziller, best on ground, headed towards the grand final medal. As he puts it in towards half forward, Kluzak dives on it. Can't quite get it. Shacky there. And we'll have another ball up. As David Mackay tips water into all our electronic equipment. Do you think that'll blow up in front of us?
Sorry, Nev, I was just trying to tell you the margin was 59 points. We indicated 49.
Yeah, it's my mistake. I need a calculator. It's Kluzak again. Ziller, he's absolutely everywhere. Still gets his boot to the ball, pushes it into the pocket. It might be a little wide, not quite. When it's going right, isn't it?
He's going to need a new pair of footy boots.
Oh, he's been superb, hasn't he? What's he kicked? 2 goal 2.
3 goals.
3 goals, has he? 3 goal 2, sorry. 2 all in this quarter. And touches, he would have had upwards of 15 touches, I would think.
20 possessions to half-time, Rock.
Fantastic performance. On the ground and lifting himself to better things, hopefully, Scott Robertson. There's the crowd here at Footy Park as the siren sounds. The margin is 59 points in favour of the Eagles.
And you have to say that was the Eagles' quarter. We talk about the premiership quarter being the 3rd quarter. Well, Norwood have to prove that now. The Eagles go in at half-time, almost 10 goals up. They kicked 7 goals to that term into the breeze. Norwood could only manage 1 goal 2, but it was their rovers, ruck rovers and on-ballers that set it up, but their defence that really were just terrific. As the ball came into the Norwood forward line, the red leg forwards just couldn't score.
Welcome back to Football Park. 59 points the margin, the Eagles lead. Nipper Christie, we didn't get a chance to speak to him at quarter time. We've got him right now down on the boundary line. And Nipper, at quarter time, did you get a chance to hear what the coaches were saying?
Well, it was obviously a very cool, calm and collected Bruce Winter at that stage. The Eagles had the breeze, but they also had the goals on the board. But it was interesting to see his reactions during that dynamic second term that his players put into effect. He was very cool, and when he made the change late in the game, late in the second term, to Shacky to come onto the ground and Nickel to go on into the forward pocket, he just said to the boys he went past, he said, just keep the momentum up. And it was a very cool Bruce Winter right throughout that second term as he could see his Chargers take control of the match.
Nipper, whilst we're not surprised to see the form of the Ziller brothers, Stephen Ziller in particular, 3 goals and a number of touches, his form's been absolutely brilliant. How can they stop him?
Well, at the moment, it's going to take an enormous lift. Stephen Rowe is battling very, very hard, but it's a matter of getting his hands on the ball. While he's doing a lot of encouraging and a lot of running, he's not doing a lot of effective work as far as getting the ball and doing something with it is concerned. And I think that's a lot of the trouble that Norwood have got at the moment. And from down on the boundary, there just doesn't seem to be the enthusiasm and the calmness that there is in the Eagles camp at the moment on field.
We just saw smart in vision for Norwood, Nipper. They've got a terrible problem at centre-half forward, haven't they?
Well, I think, Mark, they've got a terrible problem right throughout their whole forward line, and as has been the case right throughout the season, the Eagles' defence, well, the meanest in the competition, but certainly their calmness under pressure, particularly during that early in that second term, stood them in good stead. And when they went forward, I thought Chapman in the centre of the ground gave them enormous drive.
Thank you very much, Nipper Christie. Down on the boundary line, here is David Mackay and Stephen Trigg.
Siren goes, but still we're waiting for an exit from the ground. The players starting to take up their positions. 59 points the difference. David, what do you think?
All right, well, the Redlegs have got to run from defence. That's been their game plan all year. Toombs and Baum go to the bench, by the way. Good crowd building and watching. They need to run. They need to be aggressive. They need to attack. They need to hit the body. They just need a spark. And if they can do that and they can get back within, say, 4 goals at three-quarter time, there's still a chance to win this. The Eagles are very fresh. They've only had 1 game in 13. I thought it would be a worry that they mightn't come out and have their win, but they've really disproved that. The Redlegs now need to dig deep.
Let's have a look at the third term in the 1993 Grand Final from Football Park. 12-9 to 3-4. Almost 10 goals of difference, and the Eagles have done it very comfortably so far. Centre square, it's Newman and Thompson. I think Newman got the tap away, working in solidly for both sides. Gee, there's some players threw themselves in it that early. And invariably the first 10 minutes of the third quarter will dictate what happens for the rest of the day. And from Norwood's point of view, they need to get something going quick smart.
Quick smart indeed. They're in real strife at... David, have you noticed any major changes on the ground?
No, I think you called it pretty well at half-time. They're just going to go as they were, other than the fact that Toombs are still off. They've stayed as they were just before three-quarter time. And Neil Craig said during the week he's going to stick to his game plan. He's going to ask his players to stick to his game plan, and that's the way he's going about it.
And Stephen, you've coached before in this situation. What would your speech have been at half-time?
Well, in a grand final like this, I'd be exacting something from the players in terms of making some play, take some risks, get themselves first access to the football, share it around quickly and get some run going. Far side of the ground. Well done by Stephen Rowe. The run of Patterson. This is more encouraging. Towards full forward. Where's Prime? Not there. Ducker. Attack the ball mark. O'Brien works back very quickly onto it. If he can get it away, was it a shovel or a throw? Either way, the umpire said play on. Here's McIntosh. The celebrated Gary McIntosh needs to keep feet. Couldn't do so. The Eagles clear it away towards the line and have done very well in that defensive zone. Rowe leads in the race for the ball. Tate will run it and see it towards the line.
Now there's the difference. Rowe lost his footing, Tate went to ground and was straight up, and I think that's just a factor that you can build into it. A lot of Redlegs are losing their feet. The Eagles are keeping their feet and going on.
And the attack on the ball there by Tate in particular, it was I guess fanatical is the best way to describe it. They can smell the Thomas Seymour Hill Trophy, and they're heading towards it very quickly. Anthony Eames was in vision. Number 30 is Michael Thompson. He'll do the ruck work on this occasion. Up he goes. Gets the knockdown. Weidermann, though, the wrong player. Jason Ziller, a long handball. Chapman, slick. Inside, the runner is Payze. Over half forward or towards half forward. Stephen Ziller, the player best on ground. Caught. Modra showing no signs of that crook ankle as he goes short to Patterson. They cannot find a body, Nord. They're under terrible pressure to ground, holding the ball almost. A chance again. Modra follows up. In long he'll go, over half forward. It doesn't get the distance though. Kelly in front of pack. He's held without possession. And finally Norwood get an opportunity. O'Brien, they work themselves back into trouble though as Ducker. Wide, too high. Play on's the call. Not too high, says the umpire. The crowd had erupted here at Football Park. Weidermann, boo against that decision of Ducker. I didn't see it exactly. David, was it too high?
Well, the umpire indicated that Ducker ducked. I think he had his head ripped off. He probably should have got a free kick either way, but the umpire did indicate he ducked.
Here's McIntosh now, thumps it back in. Norwood need an early one to get the confidence and momentum up. Neve has played well. Here's Prime, he can do something special. Dribbles it towards the line. And Chris Prime nails his second. What an important goal early in the third term for the Redlegs. The Eagles are 12-9, Norwood are 4-4.
Neil Craig's army, are they coming at the Eagles? McIntosh, another important possession. But look at the work of the big man. He's huge, but he's agile. He lost his footing. He's up. He's back. There he goes. Now, that's what I'm talking about. When you lose your footing in this game, you've got to get up quickly. And he's kicked this kid 13 goals, 15 goals now in the final series. Now, did Ducker duck? You be the judge.
He only copped his shoulder. There's no free kick there. The umpire was right. The margin is 53 points in favour of the Eagles. There it is, by 12-9 to 4-4. Out of the centre goes McIntosh. If they can get a couple together, maybe they'll put some pressure back on the Eagles. They're more fancied, but they are vulnerable if the pressure comes back. Neve showing more pace than I think he was gifted with. What a good player he is. He played at Norwood Football Club, and he was discarded by that club. He'd dearly love to win a flag over them.
Look at the eyes. Now, the Eagles could be guilty of choking here, just sitting back and thinking that this win or this 10-goal breeze, this 10-goal lead is going to win it for them. Norwood could come at them.
Norwood need to be proactive, and at the moment they are. Modra spoiled it down. Burns has been reliable all year. He is very young, but very resolute as well. Too high, the umpire says. There it is. Perhaps that's the one that Mark Ducker should have got just moments ago. Here's Anthony Eames, centre wing. Stephen, you needed to take it. The second effort is good, but players are out of position down the ground. Finds the target. O'Brien. Good mark.
He was exciting last week, wasn't he? Against Port Adelaide. He gave them a spark when he came off the interchange bench. Now, he started today on the bench and came on, but just didn't provide the spark that he did last week. This is one they dearly need.
Drafted to Geelong in the June draft. Let's have a look at him.
Just his second kick. He's battled pretty hard. There are a few marks on the hand there, a few spits of strapping that would indicate some soreness there. Fires away at the goals. It's an important kick. He slews it off the boot to the right-hand side. Through for one behind. Norwood's fifth, 12-9 to 4-5.
A few better signs for Norwood. At least they've taken it out of the centre a couple of times and given their forwards an opportunity, and they've proved they can get a hold of the footy. A good crowd here at Football Park, a superb crowd, and a magnificent arena. Visited again many times this season. Over the top was Newman. Oh, inside, beautifully done. Jason Ziller, a short kick to find his brother, Stephen. Brotherly love is alive and well. And why wouldn't you give it to Stephen Ziller? Every time they direct it to him, he doesn't let them down. Taylor's the target. Shacky at the back. He's got it!
Now, Neville, it was only 2 years ago that Shacky led the goal kicking for the Brisbane Bears. He kicked 47 goals to head the club. Taylor was discarded by the Brisbane Bears as well. And Shacky shows his style. He kicked 6 in the last match against Central District. And that was just a terrific mark. That's what he's capable of.
Opportunity that's come around through circumstances for Lawrence Shacky, as has been described, and he steers it left. So that's a bit of a let-off for Norwood. Their comeback has not been interrupted as yet. 12-10 the Eagles, 4-5 Norwood.
That's one of the things that counts against Lawrence Shacky. He does get a lot of balls in that 20-metre area and miss. If there's a criticism, it's that he does miss the easy ones.
Again, Rodman kicks out. The Eagles zone, but Rowe found some space and was used. It comes to grandstand side. Scott Robinson, high up amongst Norwood's best. The umpire's found a 50. Probably best to let them play on. No. Declares that you must take the 50 metres, and Robinson will take it from half back to presumably half forward.
Yes, you're not allowed to play advantage on a 50-metre penalty, Stephen.
Scott Robinson, somewhat underrated, but somewhat effective as well. To the forward pocket he goes. The umpire's found a free kick for a push. And it will go the way of the Woodville-West Torrens Eagles and David Newman.
I like this kid. He's strong, and they're aware of him.
Was against Thompson, that free kick for in the back, close to the boundary line, and too high on Payze is the call. So the Eagles, their attack on the footy being rewarded at the moment.
They're playing in front, aren't they?
27 years of age on the Crows list. And like all Crows players, hoping to stay there, I guess. And to ground, Rowe, Tanner, inside, James. He is in busy traffic. Worse in Collins Street on Saturday morning. Zilla's got it, that's Jason.
That was Los Angeles Boulevard, Rock. There was that much traffic.
And it's been the same all day, David. The Eagles' attack on the player with the footy has been fantastic. They've just outnumbered Norwood at every opportunity. They're just simply working harder. Jason Zilla, his kick towards half forward isn't that good, but it'll find Filippo leading in the race for the ball and happy to just contest the throw-in.
Jason Zilla took the kick in front of a big crowd at Football Park, but Wayne Weidermann has been absolutely intimidating. He was the one that put the fierce tackle on Macca. Tap down, Tanner, reflex, Stephen Rowe, good smother. Here he is again.
And the crowd's right behind him. They love this big fellow. And that was a committed smother, head down, arms right up. He was right on top of the boot. And I can tell you, that takes a fair bit of courage.
Did he smother that with his head or was it his hands?
Oh, it wouldn't matter. Here, would he? It looked a lot like his head, but I'm sure he got it upper arm. The point being, of course, that the Eagles have got more of those tougher stats. Blocks off the boot and tackles. Let's have another look at it. Stephen Rowe, I think it was his head, and they might have to replace the ball.
Bounce down at half forward for the West Torrens, Woodville-West Torrens Eagles, as that player again thumps it in towards Taylor territory. Not this time, Shackey. No, they make a two-pronged danger down there. Pitt, hands and knees, can't get anything clear and incisive away. In the end, he goes for holding the ball.
Relentless, just relentless.
Chapman now short, and Morford is miles free. Has won so far, Scott Morford, and it's just incredible that he found so much space inside that hole at half forward. The Redlegs were drawn to the ball and
Scotty
left the space.
Sorry, Stephen. Scotty Morford was invited to join the Crows last year, but business commitments and work prevented that.
An electrician by trade and a left legger. Head stays down, normally reliable. Not this time, Scott.
He played a couple of games with Geelong, if I recall, before he came over to the old West Torrens Eagles. He just missed out in 91 on kicking 100 goals too. He's a bit stiff.
Yes, 99, James, under real pressure, but he stayed there. The player we keep talking about, the Collingwood drafted player. He wants a player free, there's none. And he moves it on toward just really straight down the line. He just wanted a big player. He's after Thompson. Robertson got it. Rose the runner. They're forward now and quickly. Ducker and O'Brien in front, can't take it. At the back is Rogers. The crumb is with the Eagles. So often it's been Tate. Weidermann again, he must be up there in the best players. He puts it up towards half forward. Shackey, dump, free kick, too high.
Weidermann 11 kicks 15 handballs, Neville.
He's been a super player, and this is how the free kick happened. Too high, over the shoulder, it was the right call. So Shackey will take his kick from 50 metres out. And in fact, it's Jason Zilla with the footy, has won. Number 56, it'll be very, very close, but just to the right. So the Eagles, 12-12, 83, Norwood 4-5, 29. So 24 shots to 9. Tells a story, doesn't it?
A little lucky for the Redlegs. They're still alive, but only just. The heart is beating, but it's very faint. Thompson takes it. And the reason that it's faint is because the Eagles kicked 7 behinds in the first term, and they've rattled on 3 more in this, the third term, with the aid of a breeze. Here's Robinson again, emerging as one of the very best from centre wing. The kick's going to be awkward to take. To half forward it goes. Thought someone had taken it. Macca shrugs the tackle, hands it over towards O'Brien. Where's Prime? Watch him shove one out. In fact, as he pushed, the crowd, in fact, the Redlegs crowd would love to see him get a free kick. He's not going to. Spear, I think it was, who took it to the far side. Kluzek will hand off to Chapman, and the Eagles are away.
Are they away again? All right, Chapman from the centre of the ground. He's got Shackey at the back of the package. Beautifully put. Oh, he pinpointed that kick and judged it to the centimetre to get it to Shackey. And as David said, not the most reliable player in execution. Have a look at that for timing.
His asset, Neville, is he's just a terrific mark. He gets into position from any position to take a mark, but his finish is the problem. His actual kicking for goal.
He's athletic and he'll kick from 50 metres. Punches away at the footy. He's wide this time again. And what have we got out on the full?
Well, he's making me sound good, but I'm afraid he would be very disappointed with that. He kicked, even when he kicked 6 against Central 2 matches ago, he kicked 6 goals 6.
Lockie Bowman from the back pocket. Punches it towards halfback with his second kick. Up over the top is a terrific mark by Jamie Tape, and I can certainly be convinced that he is worthy of a spot in the AFL. Chip short and finds the weed. Well, this man has absolutely taken them to pieces. He needs to thump it in long and very quick with his 12th kick towards Shackey again, over the head. In fact, Filippo it was, runs to the line and out of bounds.
So they have many tall players. And Shackey, Filippo, Nickel, Newman. Just too much choice. Zilla can't take it. It was Burns who threw it out. Robran. Now Patterson. They work it up through half-back. They go towards McIntosh. One-on-one with Peter Schwarz. Skipper on skipper, and this time Macca wins out. And he wants 50 metres.
He was trying to calm the umpire for 50.
Well, he's done it before. Why wouldn't he try again? Gary McIntosh, the hero of the Norwood Footy Club. He's a very fit player at the moment.
Shackey's come out to centre half forward for the Eagles, and Filippo has gone back to a back pocket, to a forward pocket.
They're just revamping their forward line a little. No real reason to do that. It might just...
I think Filippo was just running out of legs a bit.
Okay, so McIntosh towards half forward. He's got the runner in Bowman out wide. And further afield, if he can get it to him, Rowe, he's in space. If it sits, the kick wasn't that good. Neve won't rush him. Finally, he turns it up high. He wanted Bowman in the square. A chance for Pitt. Tanner, a chance, a snap. At goal, they need it desperately. He's offline. 1 point. The Redlegs are 30 points. They trail the Eagles 84.
Grant Tanner broke his nose in the qualifying final when he hit his own teammate, Christian Thompson. Shocking year with injuries, mainly groin injuries, and missed something like 9 or 10 games this year. He's also nominated for the draft. We'll see where he goes.
15 minutes into the third term of the 93 grand final. We're coming to you on ABC Sport. Player taken too high was Stephen Zilla. He has played a remarkable game. He's certainly very underrated. Morfitt towards half forward. Thought that Shackey had it, not this time. Around the body by Grant Tanner and runs it towards the line. Payze can't keep it in. Sure that he had every intention to do so anyway, and a boundary thrown on grandstand wing.
I'm going to give credit to Andrew Payze. He was obliterated by Eames at Norwood Oval only a few weeks ago, but I think he's done a very good job and has got on top of Eames today.
Scotty Burns sends it in towards McIntosh. He completes the play. He had choices. Kelly on the right, James on the left. He went to his right. Rowe, stolen almost by Rogers. Spear, too good. Brewer, absent for a quarter, but a brilliant first quarter. Gives it back to Spear, the fullback. He looks and finds Kluzak on that eastern boundary line, sets it up brilliantly. The run is linked up well by Brewer. Inside, Spear follows up from fullback. Tape's already kicked one from defence. Taylor high, he can't quite take it. But oh, the run and the work from their defence has been superb.
David, they were 2 beautifully weighted handballs, weren't they? Brewer's a touch of class, but the 2 handballs off were just superb.
Nickel coming on. You're right about those handballs, and that's the thing about confidence. They're just running on a bed of air at the moment. They're just running on pure adrenaline.
Thompson from the back, got it away. Filippo this way and that. Here's Stephen Zilla, took one high. The umpire had a very close look at it. Taylor, not this time. Thompson's under some pressure working back. Now a little bit of time as it goes on behind the play between Thompson and Newman. No right back there in terms of the heavyweight stakes. Here's Eames, Payze, O'Brien and Filippo, and over the line.
What you didn't see, Stephen, was Jonathan Robran made about 30 metres. He thought if there was going to be a fight, he was going to be over there supporting Christian Thompson. I think he knew the outcome of that encounter as well. Filippo having a rest. We thought he was just gone in the legs. He'll come back.
But that's why they went in with another big man in Shackey, and it's given Bruce Winter some fantastic options. Sam Filippo leaves the ground, but he has performed pretty well. He kicked 1 in the first and 1 in the second. And he's been a focal point at half forward. He's brought the ball to ground when he hasn't been able to mark it. David Newman will do the ruck work. Against him is Thompson. Beautifully done by James to get it to McIntosh. Lovely hands. Macca now towards half forward. Up they go. Newman's back there, but so too is Jamie Tate. And he owns the half-back at the moment. He's done a brilliant job on O'Brien. Through the centre, Chapman. The runner is Schwarz. Here he comes, the skipper. Wonder if he'll be holding the cup up in a couple of, or half an hour. Great take by Modra. Lost his feet, kept his balance. Here it is in replay.
Wonderful take in the hands. Has played very well today from centre half-back. In over the ball is Smart, hardly sighted. Not much of Stephen Pitt either, as that ball was smothered. And it gives the opportunity to the Eagles. Here's Tate, fires it in towards centre half forward, and another good mark taken by Jonathan Robran.
And the defence has lifted a cog for Norwood, Steve.
Just get the feeling, though, that they're struggling in terms of getting plays strung together as Payze takes a good mark at half forward. We're 18 minutes into the third term. I wonder if they've spent their best shot in terms of trying to get back at the Eagles.
Well, every time they have the footy, they find it hard because of the pressure and the work that the Eagles are doing to get it to another jumper, their same jumper, and they keep turning it over to the Eagles.
Payze, I would think, would struggle from there, so does the intelligent thing and puts it to the head of the square. Another good mark taken by Modra, so the Talls for Norwood are doing well in defence. Has a look boundary side and finds Kelly. Very quiet today. Richard Kelly started in the centre and has 4 and 3 so far. This is his 5th. Towards half-back. Smart, Eames, clever, out of trouble. No, not quite, because he couldn't get it cleanly to a player. Stephen Ziller is working in hard over the ball. Here's a class act too in Chapman. The weed. Someone needs to take him on. There's no doubt about that. Pitt from the ground. I thought he threw it. Doesn't matter. The umpire called play on. Here's Tate, still under pressure on centre wing. Jason Ziller. This way, and that Norwood looked tired, very tired, and Ziller runs it to the line.
Well, you'd be tired too, Stephen, if the Eagles just kept coming at you and coming at you. It's just been a wave of Eagles. They just haven't had time to settle. They haven't had time to think.
19 minutes gone in this third quarter of the 93 Grand Final, live at Football Park, exclusively on ABC TV to Australia and Southeast Asia. And not a lot of action for Norwood in this quarter. They really did want to kick 3 or 4 quick ones. Stephen Rowe, the Crows rover, and Norwood rover lifts himself to his feet. They really need him to get in after the footy at the moment. Thompson, Eames and Weidermann will go to the ball and to the line together, I suggest. And they really have dominated this contest. 24 shots at goal to 10. So there are 14 more shots at goal, and they've had about 50 more possessions. Craig Barham warms up on the boundary line.
The Eagles were fired out in the preliminary final last year, and there's been more than just a hint of the fact that they're desperate and hungry after that from last year as Rowe pumps it up towards half forward. Player in Tate, who's been resolute, couldn't get it effectively away. Here's Patterson, one step, thumps it towards the tractor in Chris Prime. Where is he? Not this time. Well done by Brewer, a little touch of class.
I think that's the thing about the Eagles' defence. They all get back and help each other. Brewer was in a bit of trouble then, just the sheer strength of Prime, but Brewer was back to help out Spear, and it all just goes forward.
Maybe early, but it looks like they'll celebrate as Jason Ziller gets it over the top. Now the Eagles are starting to get running again. They've lifted a gear again towards the forward pocket area. Barham lumbers back towards the ball. Also there is Bowman, left leg. As he lifts the eyes and looks around the corner, he'll only have Newman, and he takes a very, very strong mark.
This fellow is the most improved youngster in South Australia. He's just so strong.
David Newman, from probably 60 metres out, I'm sure would be beyond his range, burst onto the scene in the early 80s. He really gives it a thump, pushes it right into the square. Taylor gets the ride, but Bowman gets the thump.
Jason Ziller comes off for a rest. He's been terrific today. He's earned the applause of the Eagle fans. And Nick Pesh, the little Crow draft, comes on number 4 for his first run. 8 kicks, 8 handballs for Jason Ziller. Doesn't say much about the tackles there. He's supplied 3 or 4 of those.
Rowe takes the kick in and plays on quickly. Goes wide to James. Cluzak's there to take him on. They both go to ground. James recovers quickly. He's in real strife out there too. He needs some help. There's none coming. Finally, it's Modra. They lose it again. Nickel to Cluzak in high. Oh, beautifully done. Cluzak on the grab, but Taylor too high, or grabbed him, he said, Richard Williams, and Kelly looks absolutely despondent.
Well, it's a difficult one to assess. That's the follow-through. Bowman got him on the follow-through. Taylor went to ground. Hand goes up. That's a free kick. I think Taylor would make a pretty good umpire.
He might have some opposition in that one, but Andrew Taylor with 1 goal in the first from 45 metres. The crowd go up. The umpire doesn't hesitate. The Eagles notch their 13th. They're 91 points. They lead Norwood 30.
We'll give the Redlegs credit. That's the Eagles' first goal since the 26-minute mark of the second quarter. So they've kept them goalless for almost 30 minutes of football. The tide really hasn't turned because the Redlegs haven't been able to get anything better than 1 goal to themselves, but at least they are stopping the Eagles from scoring, and that's part of Neil Craig's attack.
Taylor gets his third, and with Stephen Ziller, he's really done some damage. For Norwood, Prime is their only multiple kicker with 2. 13-13 to 4-6. And we're approaching time on very rapidly. 23 minutes in. Here's Nickel. I think you're going too far there, Stuart. I thought it was held to the player, but the umpire's found a free, and it will go to Stephen Rowe.
Are we going live to Waggon in Western Australia, where this little fella came from? They'd be watching him pretty closely.
He's been a very effective player for both Norwood and the Adelaide Crows. Here's Stephen Ziller once again. From one step, he thumps it in towards centre-half forward with his 16th kick. He's been particularly damaging.
I followed this kid for 5 years, and I knew he could do it. And just look at him now. He's tearing this game apart.
Yes, indeed. David Newman puts it in long and high. Up they go. Taylor can't. They've got the numbers on the ground this time, Norwood. This is Anthony Eames. Where does he go? There's nobody making the play. Finally, Craig Baum gives him something. Morford interferes with him, but he matches him well, Craig Baum, as he turns it around, goes towards centre wing. Pitt behind play. Can't quite take it. Recovers better than anybody. Ducker on a lead. In he comes, half volley. Not quite. He's caught with the footy. Rogers made his day an absolute nightmare in that forward pocket, and he takes the praise.
Yes, he deserves the praise, Andrew Rogers. Former Essendon and Geelong player, started his career with Woodville before he went to the AFL. Now back, a very good player. He shut out some very, very good players in this final series.
And Stephen Pitt, who's been an integral part of the deal for the year for Norwood, has been very quiet throughout the afternoon. Just 7-2 for him. And I must admit, I mentioned it earlier, he, like several of his mates out there on the deck, looked very tired. They've done it the hard way. They've had 6 days rest, and the Eagles have had 13, as it now comes to the player in James, towards centre-half forward or full forward perhaps. Tanner needs a 1 clean take, couldn't quite, and the Eagles are there in numbers. Spear, Jason Neve has an option wide, decides to go towards the boundary line. First in the race for the ball is Chapman. He'll have hard-pressed time getting around the player in Patterson, but he does so very well. Making the players Balm. Off the head of Nickel it goes to McIntosh. The Redlegs now with a chance to build.
McIntosh has a look up forward. There's not a lot offering, so he goes into the big fella in Prime. Spear, well spoiled. Kelly goes backwards to O'Brien from 45 metres. He pounds away at go, and O'Brien has got a goal. His first. The Redlegs are 5-6-36. They haven't given up against the Eagles. 13-13-91.
O'Brien started the season on a half-back flank, as did Pitt in defence, but they used them successfully as followers in the latter part of the season. More recently, towards the very end of the season, O'Brien's been used as a permanent half-forward flanker. That's one of the reasons, you know, he doesn't need a lot of kicks. His accuracy is very good. He's a penetrating kick, and he is aggressive.
13-13 to 5-6. The Redlegs are persistent, but they look a little jaded. And we are into time on by 1 minute. From the centre square, just for Norwood this time. Pitt, 1 take around Weidermann for a change. Now Rowe, who couldn't quite escape the weed as Rowe gets it to Ducker. And Ducker's taken it 45 metres out on a 45-degree angle.
That's what he's capable of, Mark Ducker. Melbourne had a look at him a few years ago, and then he did a knee. He's also broken a leg and an ankle in the last 2 seasons. Been riddled with injuries. I don't know that we'll ever see him at his very best again, but sometimes this year, I mean, he's kicked 8 and 7 against Port Adelaide. He's shown in big games he's a great player.
Needed to set it at the left post because that breeze is still coming slightly from left to right. The kick off the side of the boot somewhat and rushed through for behind. He kicked 54 goals in 1986, did Mark Ducker, to be the top goal kicker at the club.
I think he was capable of better too, by the way. I think he's capable of kicking 100. It's just a matter of over the summer whether he can get his fitness back and build himself up in the upper body again. He seems to me just a little frail.
Certainly injury prone as Spear brings it in. Here's Scott Burns. He's tried very hard today. McIntosh in over the ball. He's tough over it. But with a bevy of Eagles players in over the top, he wasn't going to get that one out of that situation. And the grand final, of course, on ABC Sport, live from Football Park. And we're throughout Australia, many portions of Southeast Asia as well, and we hope you're enjoying this telecast.
Well, I know one little fella who would be enjoying it is Shane Nicholas in Melbourne. He's been an Eagles fan for years, and he's waited for this moment. And I know that he's watching the coverage. I ran into him in Melbourne yesterday, and he'll be sitting over there barracking on. There'll be a lot of people that will just come out of the woodwork for the Eagles tonight here at Woodville Oval for the celebrations. They've waited a long time.
28 minutes in, the Redlegs have another chance, but not if the Weed has his save. Perfect execution of the tackle, holding the ball, and a turnover. Look at that. No chance.
You'd have to have him high and your best on ground, surely.
Just not fair, is it? A welterweight against a heavyweight like that. And as the Eagles bring it towards half forward, well snared by the player there in Stephen Ziller. Has done particularly well today. That kick's going to take some catching, though. Just inside half forward it goes. Good spoil from two Norwood players to the line.
And the thing I liked about David Newman then, and here he goes with Bowman, they're having fisticuffs. Norwood fans looking on, there's not much pleasure there. Back on the field, Newman and Bowman still at it. McIntosh comes in to sort it out. I was about to say, the thing about that is that Newman years ago would have dropped his head. That time he just attacked the ball, kept his head up, and almost created something.
Here's Shackey to space, and Morford, tremendous courage. With the flow of play, takes a finger tipper. And as the siren goes to end this, the third term, Morford will have a shot from 35 metres out.
It's an unprotected goal too. He could just turn around and lob it. Bowman angles back, and Jonathan Robben stands on the mark.
54 points in it. Morford, left leg, in the ideal spot. If he takes a slice of the left post, it should come back nicely for him. A chance to blow it out from 54 to 60. He can't. He drags it into the body. So, at three-quarter time, the full score is the Eagles are 13-13, Norwood are 5-7.
There is the city of Adelaide. What a wonderful sight it is. And here we are just about ready to go to the last quarter. Here's David Mackay and Stephen Trigg.
So, can the Eagles get up? I would suggest at the moment it's very, very likely, David.
Well, that says it all. Wallace Print centre, Eagles fly high. That's the Eagles sponsor, and I think at this stage it's appropriate that they got the aeroplane cranked up and got the sign out, because I think, bar an act of God, the Eagles will win.
And speaking of signs, their banner before the game for the Eagles read, "This is the reason we've played all season," and their troops have played accordingly. Just waiting for the ground to be vacated. All is in readiness. It's a little dark, but still dry and very, very good conditions.
Well, the Eagles are looking pretty good. They've won the under-17s. They were runner-up in the under-19s, and they've won the reserves grand final before this. So the Eagles are turning into a power club.
So the start of the last quarter in the 1993 grand final. 13-14 the Eagles. They've got a stranglehold on it. Norwood are 5-7. More than just pride at stake, it's possible, but very improbable for the Redlegs to come back from here. Pesh is onto the ground. The Eagles with the first take from centre square. It's not exactly a forward thrust, but it's out for them. Tape has possession. At half-back he goes. Fires it up towards half-forward. He's been a very, very effective player. In under the ball is Tanner. Good reflex from the ground by Burns. Here's James. Lifts the eyes, goes towards half-forward. Where's Ducker? Not there this time. Rogers has been pretty quiet, but has nullified his opponent.
Oh, I was just about to jump on you. I thought he's done a terrific job on Ducker. And in fact, that fumble was the only mistake I've seen him make today.
Thank you for not jumping on me, David, as Newman has a look, gets it down towards Stephen Ziller. To half forward, here's Kluzek. Dynamic first half, a little quieter in the third. Morford would love this to sit for him, it doesn't. Burns under some pressure, as he has been all day. Here's Jonathan Rodman, lifts the eyes, there's nothing there, so intelligently goes towards the line. Eames emerges into the picture. Around Ziller, yes. Could have taken a bounce, decides not to, with the drop punt that's awkward, fires it towards half forward. Neiman's first there. Player in tackling is Michael Thompson, and it runs over the line.
Very good crowd. Pro Eagles, probably. I don't think, if you're in Adelaide, the Eagles are probably your second side. If you barrack for Port Adelaide or if you barrack for South Adelaide, the Eagles are the side that is your second side, and they've enjoyed good support here today.
McIntosh charges in towards half forward. He puts it in high. Leading in the race for the ball is Tape. Opposed to Pitt. They both go to ground. And free kick in the back rules the umpire. Chris Pine dejected about that decision, but it was there.
Very solid game by Tape.
He's been good, hasn't he? And as we mentioned earlier, probably off to the Tigers in Melbourne next year. Beautifully done, Nick Pesh. Look at the pace as he bounces towards half forward. Out comes Taylor. He has another bounce. He'll go long to Stuart Nicol. Here he comes in short. Beautifully done. Great piece of orchestrated individual play from half forward through to full forward.
That is a solo example of how to split a defence. Forwards were going everywhere. Defenders had to follow them. It just created a hole, and Nicol led into the hole.
Sat on the bench for 3 quarters, but he's now got something to talk about.
Oh, he has now. It's a goal. The Eagles kick their 14th. Stuart Nicol happy to kick his first. The big man option in the forward pocket is working for the Eagles.
This is one of the rare moments in a game that you'll remember for 20 or 30 years. This is something that this kid will tuck in the back of his mind, and a few of his mates over a drink or two tonight will remember. Look, he just split the defence, drilled it straight at Nicol, and Bowman coming in behind had no chance of stopping that.
Back in the centre, the Eagles go along very nicely. 14-14 to 5-7. Just over 3 minutes in. And they've thumped them in the centre square area so far. Centre breaks are 14 to the Eagles and 8 to Norwood. Largely due to Wayne Weidermann in the centre square area. I thought that Thompson won the tap-outs early, but the little men and the weed, there he is, have done pretty well in the centre square area. Into the back of Newman. The umpire says no. Scott Burns brings it away this time, so count that one down to Norwood. Not going to be effective, though. Here's Jamie Tape to Rogers. Plenty of poise. Chip short. And one of the best men on the ground, Stephen Ziller.
Yes, he's been a starter's and will be probably judged the best man on the ground, I would think.
I think the Jack Oatey medalist, Neville, is going to come from Stephen Ziller or Wayne Weidermann.
And there's a Norwood supporter. He's got a couple of streamers. He's just asking Dad whether he should throw them now or later. I'd get with them now. Won't have much to throw him on the oval for later, youngster. But a great crowd here at Footy Park as Nicol hands over the footy. Beautifully done by the red leg defence, and Robert runs it through the centre. He goes high towards the centre to want it, in that case, Smart. But Rowe works hard. Neve and Brewer pitch the ball again. Their defence has been absolutely superb, and Schwarz steers the ball wide and switches the play to Tape. He's got a bit of room. He'll send the Eagles into attack.
Tape emerging as one of the very best as well. The kick's awkward. Shackey can't control it, runs it towards the line, and at half forward for the Eagles we'll have a boundary throw in. 4.5, nearly 5 minutes in to the last term. 14-14 to 5-7.
Live and exclusive on ABC Sport at Football Park in South Australia. Working hard, Shackey. That's a throw, not picked up. Rowe on hands and knees. You want to get rid of it. He's hanging on to it. And that rule always confuses the public and umpires, and certainly the coaches. There's one of them, Neil Craig.
You feel pretty ordinary, don't you? Like he has said during the week too that it's all or nothing. It's win or lose. We're here to win. We're not here to compete.
Yes, it's very hard to remember who ran second in grand finals, isn't it? And but it's a credit to the leagues to have got there, and this experience won't be wasted on these youngsters. Rowe and McIntosh. McIntosh puts it down again. You won't see that very often. Pretty cool by Stephen Rowe as he steers the ball wide with a shocking kick from an experienced player. Failed to hit the jumper. Thompson under pressure, and that is just typical of how they've messed up so many plays. But full credit to the Eagles for their pressure and their dogged determination at the player with the ball.
I think you got it right the second time, Neville. It's you can only play as well as your opponent lets you. And the Eagles were just forcing Rowe. They just chopped off the corridor. They didn't let him go down. They forced him wide. Exactly. And they've done that all day, and due credit to the Eagles.
Talked about Neil Craig's attitude to this. He'd be devastated, but as we mentioned earlier, he has a very, very young side at his disposal. In fact, statistically, there are 12 of them with less than 50 games and about the same number, less than 21 years of age. So if they can hold on to some of those boys...
Well, I think that's the big question. How many of these kids are they going to hold on to? James, drafted by Collingwood. Burns, drafted by Collingwood. They're going to lose those two probably.
Yeah, Robin by the Hawks and
Sam Smart by the Crows.
Brian Geelong, yes, it's going to be very hard, but that's typical of all sides as James tears out of the pack. He does it well, holds onto the footy and steers it back towards centre wing. O'Brien underneath it, back of the pack, and takes it well. He plays on the left boot, high and ducker. Watch for him in screen now. Punched beautifully away from him. And Weidermann again, listen to the crowd, on the left boot. Half forward, Shacky's late. Underneath it is Kluzak. Very close, didn't quite hold it long enough. James, Rowe and Tanner caught with the footy. Robertson overruns it. Pesh, he's caught by O'Brien. Robertson throws it out to O'Brien, not seen. Brewer can't do it. Rowe, they've got no space. Tight traffic, Barr hesitates, finally the smother. What a brilliant piece of defensive work by the Eagles.
Well, those 1%ers are critical, and we saw Weidermann throw his body at one earlier in the third term. And that one by Newman, just typical as an illustration of the way it's gone for the Eagles this afternoon. Here's James and McIntosh, the two leaders of the club. They'll be bitterly disappointed by this. Maybe, just maybe, it's Macca's last shot at it. I'm sure he'll go on next year, but when these opportunities come along, as I'm sure Gary would testify, you need to take them. He's been a wonderful ambassador, resisted all temptations to play in the AFL, and has been a wonderful club man. Here's Weidermann again. Nothing doing.
Well, the Eagles were spurred on by last year's preliminary final loss. They set themselves for a big year. They won the Foundation Cup. They beat Port Adelaide. They did it pretty well in the finish, and today they've taken out the double. Norwood might just be spurred on next year by their performance today.
This is Pesh, high, nickel in the square, Taylor from behind. They both miss it completely. Bowman caught, he needs help. Just shrugs the tackles. A little bit too easy, I guess, from Bruce Winter's point of view, but the ball is high towards O'Brien. He pitches front spot. Robertson tried to take it on the half volley, but he too missed it. Well, remember back in 75, Norwood blooded Jim Teal and Jim Michaelani as youngsters, but we can only find 2 or 3 players. In 84, they blooded Warhurst and Payne. In 82, Neagle, McIntosh played his first final series, Thomas and Fosdyke, but never before this many youngsters, and they'll pay dearly for it, but they'll get the credit for it next year. Again, the Eagles with the footy. Play-on's the call as Shackey demands the mark. Touched was the call by Richard Williams.
Well, not only did he demand the mark, he's saying, "Oh, fair dinkum, I marked the ball. Then they grabbed me." He said, "Take the mark away from me." Sure, now that's a mark, no doubt about that. That's my mark. Now they've got me. Is that holding the man?
Yeah,
Give me something.
The umpire did actually tap his hand. It was touched off the boot was the indication, and players never appreciate that when they've taken a mark 45 metres down the ground. But very hard to translate that to a player when he's 20 metres out from goal.
And swearing at you.
Oh, well, naturally. 10 minutes gone, final quarter, 14-14, plays 5-7. The Red League's in heaps of trouble. We're live and exclusive from Football Park on ABC Sport.
In trouble, all right. The chant goes up around the ground. The Eagles have got it stitched up. Very tired players from both sides throwing themselves in. It's been warm. It is overcast. There's the part of the crowd, a section of the crowd, enjoying this day out.
Now, what does this say to the doubters? There's Super Sid, who's gone from being a Norwood follower, by the way, to an Eagles fan in the last 2 seasons. Something about the Neil Baum sacking that he didn't like at Norwood, and he now follows the Eagles. And look at Zilla. He's everywhere.
I was not so sure about that hat, but here he is. Zilla has played very well, has 3 so far. And you'd expect that this one shouldn't present too much of a problem. Jason Zilla it is, not Stephen. So Jason has 1, his brother has 3. Don't they look similar from front on? Perhaps only their mum could have picked that one as they came along. Here's Jason. Pretty good. Straight through, his second. The Eagles get their 15th on the board, 15-14 to Norwood, 5-7.
Jason, of course, is the older brother. He's 21. Stephen's 20. And it took Jason a little while to find his feet in league football. He won a Reserves Magarey medal last year, in fact. And a few people thought he might have been a good reserve footballer, but could he go the next level? He's proved it this year. He really has, in the second half of the season, just destroyed them.
There's a magnificent helicopter view of the stadium here at Football Park. And the goal kickers, Stephen Zilla and Taylor with 3 apiece. The leading goal kicker for Norwood is Christopher Prime with 2.
Away go the Eagles again. The well-oiled machine is working very well at the right time of the year, and here's Taylor.
Yes, I think The danger is that the Eagles are just going to kick them off the park now. Norwood need to show some real character.
Taylor has 3, decides to go short.
Look at the looseness, would you?
And Morfitt's the player. Well, don't they have some options? They're wonderfully versatile, the Eagles. But if Nicol, Shackey, Taylor, Zilla don't get you, then someone like Morfitt will. Has 1. And as we mentioned, has kicked a lot of goals for the Eagles. Normally extremely reliable. The left leg punches into what breeze there is left, just slews off the side of the boot. Through for 1 behind, so an even scoreline of 15-15, 105 to 5-7, 37.
We were just saying how reliable he is as he kicked 1 goal, 3, his 3rd point, and all 3 of them have been set shots.
And Bruce Winter just previously in screen there, looking pretty relaxed. And so he should be. His best man on ground, Stephen Zilla, is steering them forward again over the top of Nicol on that occasion, and the ball very close to the line. Not quite out of bounds as Robin steals it. Keeps it in. And again, another smother by the Eagles. And Frank Leonard, the reserves coach, looks on to Bruce Winter, and he is absolutely delighted with it.
Well, I was just about to say that Robin wasn't their worst play. In fact, probably in their best 2 or 3. He's had a difficult job. The ball's just been pelted in all day and quickly. It's been very difficult for a defender.
Speaking of Bruce Winter, he's been blessed. Here's Shackey. And by blessed, I mean in his first year of senior coaching, he has inherited a side of enormous skill and talent as it goes towards Kluzek. Just took the eyes off the ball as Burns was coming, but
well, tricky.
Nonetheless, will take the mark. And you're going to say to me,
yes,
David, that Winter has done very well to finish it off. No argument.
You got it.
But it's not a bad job to have got.
Well, he got a side that lost the preliminary final. He's taken to a grand final. He won them a Foundation Cup. I mean, Neil Barmshaw has put together the nucleus, but Bruce Winter has taken that extra step further.
No argument with that as Kluzek fires away at the goals. The St Michael's College graduate would be very pleased with that in his 3rd season of league footy. Has his 2nd. The Eagles progressed very nicely. 16-16 to 5-7. Would play 14 minutes into the last term.
He is a quality young kid, this fellow. He just finds space. That's his greatest asset. He keeps running. He'll keep running at you and coming at you. Just then he found the space. That was a free kick, by the way, not a mark. And he put it through.
And there's a shot of the crowd. Neil Baum, the former coach of the Eagles, now coaching Melbourne Football Club with his recruiting officer. And they're enjoying the hospitality of Football Park. 16-16 plays 5-7. An opportunity now. Smart gets it onto Prime, playing well up the ground. An opportunity for Pitt at full forward. Spear knocks it away. Rogers will be the first player to it. Trailing him is Ducker and Rowe. Rowe gives up the chase. And I'll be worried about that, Stephen. It's obviously this hard program is affecting players' ability to run the game out. Tate with a footy, running clean, up centre wing. He tips it in high. He wants Taylor up high. Loose ball. Modra gets free, winds his way out of the pack. Oh, beautifully stolen. Pesh from 40 on a super bit of individual football. And that just tells you what day the Redlegs have had. His first, he came off the bench to do it. The Eagles 17.
Well, we thought that the small men in Rowe and Patterson would match the 2 Zilla boys. We hadn't reckoned on Pesh coming on and making the impact that he did. Now, at this point, Ben, not Tony Modra from the Crows, it's Ben Modra, pushes it forward, and Pesh just read it beautifully. The handball was intended for Burns, didn't find its mark, and Pesh from 30 out, it was so easy.
81 points the margin, and we're 15 minutes into the last term of the grand final for 1993. The Eagles will celebrate. Norwood, well, I'm sure they'll be pleased deep down with an effort to get them to the grand final, but certain to be in mourning tonight over a grand final that they let slip. Baum, Nicol, Jason Zilla takes it out of the air, weaving his way through too easily. In the end was Chapman, fires it up towards the full forward area. Taylor didn't have the eyes on the ball. The competition was good to the ground. Reflex just too fast, David. Not able to be taken by either Taylor or Shackey and across the line.
It was more a thump than a handball. Shackey paddled it forward and then followed it on. He did well, but that was actually a throw for what it's worth.
Thanks for that, David. Lawrence Shackey. This time Newman does the ruck work. Patterson rushing his work, and a loose ball at half forward. Chapman tries to make something of it. Taylor Dropped it. Play on would be the call, I would think. Oh, no, he's paid it.
No, hasn't paid it.
He couldn't possibly have paid it.
Yeah, the ball did hit the ground, Neville. You're a good judge. Taylor tried to con the umpire and 40-odd thousand people.
He looks at the umpire.
Are you sure, he's saying? Are you sure?
He's had a reasonable day, hasn't he, Andrew Taylor? He has 3 goals and plenty of touches. Kelly goes to ground. Taylor's there again, and Weidermann sees the ball over the line.
Probably appropriate, Neville, to judge a side on their season, not just on one game. It's very hard for people who are just tuning in seeing Norwood. They have really swept the imagination this season. They started from about 7th position mid-year. They won 11 of their last 13 games to play here in the grand final. But they haven't done themselves any justice this afternoon.
And they really turned things around at the parade a few weeks ago, or 6 or 7 weeks ago, when they beat Port Adelaide there and gave themselves a real opportunity. Finished with a double chance and, in 4th spot. And it hasn't done them any good, though, as Jason Ziller steers the Eagles in. Pesh goes to ground. A chance for Stephen Ziller. Burns slips it up. Patterson around the corner. Only as far as the centre line, though. They've got the numbers again, the Eagles. Primpy will go backwards. And short to Nickel is good. He finds Chapman. They've got control, the Eagles, and they're happy to have it that way.
Chapman's done well in the centre, 14 and 12. Had Richard Kelly move from him earlier in the game and has dominated that position in a side that's playing very well. It's been a good performance from him. Shackey got it from Kluzek into the path of Scott Burns. One hand up and takes it very well. Scott Burns, whose uncle David played in the 73 grand final with North Adelaide, to the outer side. The ground is now bathed in sunshine. It's found its way through the clouds as Morfitt lifts the eyes, looks in short. Only as far as Tanner, James, Patterson. And from one step thumps a torpedo punt towards half forward. Sitting in the front spot is Tate. Doing the cleaning up work is Smart. Fires it towards the line. Is it over? Not quite.
Now, that is one of the rare occasions that we've seen Smart. 2 kicks, 8 handballs. Bruce Winter pretty content. Sitting on, Frank Leonard, the reserves coach. Nick Hadjikoskis, the fitness coach, beside him. But Smart's been blanketed by Primke. Primke's done an outstanding job. Payze comes back on. Kluzek goes for a rest.
And Jason Ziller and Simon Neve work hard with Jamie Tate. Underground handball. Rogers there. Rowe, if he can find a way out, he can. It's a one-way street on the left boot. He chips across the centre and finds Richard Kelly. An open goal if Patterson, if it sits for him from 10 metres out, he pounds it towards goal. And a last salute to the Redlegs, his second. They're 6. They're 43 points. They trail the Eagles 17-16, 118.
You remember we saw Patterson go to ground in the first quarter. We thought he was hurt. I think he's run out the whole game with some form of injury. He just doesn't look fit. He goes to ground there, he grimaces. He's obviously in a lot of pain, but it is a grand final after all, and you push through the pain barrier, and I think he's done that pretty well. Kluzek there took his time getting into the bunker.
And following that, the Eagles' versatility on show again. Nickel came off, and the player Sam Filippo back on. So back in the centre, the Eagles are 17-16, 118. A thumping scoreline. Norwood are 6-7, 43. 20 minutes into the last term. Barn, in a cloud of dust, gets up over the top. Macca picks off his target there in Ziller, but not before Peter Schwarz can get it away towards centre half forward. Well done, Grant Tanner. Good, solid, reliable mark overhead. Now with the left leg to the outer side. Stephen Rowe turns, lifts the eyes, chips in short. Patterson's one of the targets, but Neve, who's done so very well out of a back pocket, thwarts another red leg attack.
He's had a very good year, Simon Neve. And so often we've mentioned that he might lack a little bit of pace, but he does read the ball well. He attacks the play, and he's also playing in some pretty good company back there. Rogers and Primke and Spears and so on. The ball's at half forward, though, for the Eagles, but in the way is Scotty Robertson. Number 26. And, as we've said, drafted to the Swans. Robin will send the footy back towards centre wing. Scotty Morfitt makes it look easy. He's chipped short to Payze, who's just back on the ground and happy to go back and have his kick. Not so, he gives Schwarz maybe his last kick in league footy. And across the centre they go. Chapman's got it. And they've slowed the pace of the game right down. Happy to run out a bit of time. We're 21 minutes in, probably another 7 or 8 minutes left before they can hold the cup in the air. They pound towards goal. Not quite there, though, as Shackey comes in and Modra forces the ball over the line.
I was going to say, Jamie Tape's got the taste for blood. Got his first goal early in the match, and down he comes streaming. He's ever since he got that goal, I've watched him. He's come off a half-back flank to half-forward flank every time the ball's been on the other side, trying to kick another one.
Trouble for Norwood, but Robran, in looking for Tanner, eventually got that player between three. Here's Eames, who got the sweeping handball from Tanner to half-forward. He goes, Rogers! What a mark in the dying stages of the 93 final, up over the top. Now Spear, Schwarz, some old heads out there as Rogers gets it again. Ex-Victorian competition and plenty of experience on display. Geelong and Essendon he spent time with as Eames hands it off to the player in Tanner. Thumps it back into the full forward line. There's Toombs, who's come back onto the ground. Dainty. And in the end, a throw.
That wasn't even subtle. Right? You'd be proud of that in rugby.
Yes, that'll get a laugh at the replay during the week, I would think.
Well, I'll guarantee you he'll be made to drink something quicker than he would like to after they view that on the replay.
Toombs, he started at full-back, now has a shot at goal.
Wouldn't have kicked too many in his time, I wouldn't think. He'd be pretty pleased with that. Gets his first for the day, and I suspect his first for the year, given that he spent all year at fullback.
Try his first for his career. 30 games and without a goal. He's played all his football in defence. He had a woeful start. I wonder whether he was injured for a moment there, but he's come back on, claimed the free kick for this throw, and then went back and put his first ever goal through.
So a certain amount of symmetry on the scoreboard. 17-17 to 7-7. A thumping big win by the Eagles. 23 minutes into this, the last term, as Baum gets up. Chapman, another exit from centre square. Make that 23 to, in fact, 17-10 it is. Goes down to the full forward line. Player in there, took it off at the ground, I think. The crowd roar. But not this time. Shaki tried to get it off the deck. In fact, it was Philippo, but offline.
Yes, he really just tried that little something extra. Perhaps there could have been a free kick to Bowman there, but he just got boot to ball. It was very clever thinking. He had little time for anything else.
17-18, 120. Norwood a 7-7, 49. Brewer underneath it, can't take it. Robertson knocks it to ground and row. It's been pretty busy in the final quarter. Gives it short back to Robertson, and he goes long and high. It's a pretty ordinary kick. Patterson's the one that's got to try and take it, and Neve slams it over the boundary line. And Patterson socks down, doing it pretty hard. And the official attendance at the 1993 grand final is 42,719.
There's nothing wrong with that, Neville. A lot of people thought when Port Adelaide weren't in the grand final, we might suffer. But I think last year's attendance was, what, 36,000? So Norwood and the Eagles have proved they can draw a crowd.
A very good crowd at a wonderful stadium. The contest not as tight as we would have liked, but the Eagles have shown us what a display. Pesh, Weidermann, the roar goes up again, chips in short, just about traverses the head of Modra. It doesn't matter. It ends up in the hands of Shaki. Now Payze, not quite. Offline, through for one behind. 17 goals to the Eagles and 19 behinds to 7-7.
Bruce Winter could afford to be quite happy. I don't know that I've ever seen a grand final coach this relaxed.
Well, I suppose if, whatever you are, 50, 72 points in front, it's hard not to be relaxed, hard not to smile, really, wouldn't it? And Sam Smart hands it out to O'Brien. They're not smiling, the Redlegs, though, as O'Brien whacks it towards goal. He's offline and out of bounds on the full. So, at half forward, it hasn't been... he's played most of his footy at half back, O'Brien, as Redleg supporters haven't lost the faith. But only the last 6 or 7 weeks he's gone to half forward. Row to ground, Neve's got him, and we'll have a ball up.
You know, Neville, I spoke with Robert Walls at last week's Carlton Essendon grand final, and he was talking about, oh, it's on, a bit late for that, fellas. He was talking about Jim Buckley coaching North Ballarat, who's won 4 out of 4, and he reckons that Jimmy Buckley must think that coaching's pretty easy. Right? And I had a bit of a laugh, but I think Bruce Winter must as well. A night premiership, a day premiership in his first year, it's not so hard.
And the ground. Well, I don't think he's had a few losses as a reserve coach, and he's been around a long time. He's also lost grand finals as a player, but he's
only one,
but he's certainly done a very, very good job with the Eagles this year.
Bounce down amidst a big pack of players. Rogers thumps it to try and find some space, only as far as James. He's been very good. for the Redlegs throughout defence and in the centre of the ground. Here's an illustration of what the Eagles have been doing today. They hunt in numbers and they run very strongly as Newman gets it just forward of centre wing. Chip short. Where's Morfitt? Here he is. Rampaging player was Stephen Rowe, but Morfitt, the free or the mark, it matters not as he takes it from half forward. Taylor, Shackey, short towards Filippo. The one take on the half volley is very good. Feigns, gets around very well from Bowman, then fires it up towards the goal. Not quite in terms of distance. Just falling short, a metre short. Tanner takes it, gives it to Scott Burns, and the Redlegs are out of trouble.
Opportunity on the far side of the ground is James. That's Brett James. His kick is a poor one, though. Neve pinches it. Did that well. Gives it off to Rogers. Over the top they go. Stephen Ziller. Must be the Jack Oatey medalist. Punches it in long. In the way, though, for the Eagles.
Well, Neville, it's going to be Stephen Ziller as the Jack Oatey medalist or Wayne Weidermann. It's going to come from one of those two players.
Yep.
Stick your neck out.
Oh, no, I think Stephen's done a lot of the hard work early. He kicked 3 in the second. And he's been a very, very busy player. And it'll be lovely for him to win that medal, but it's not for me to decide. As Taylor knocks the ball towards Payze, he's on 50, takes on Robertson. He wouldn't have got through. Too high was the call, and Payze will get the free kick, though. He's 50 metres from goal. 27, nearly 28 minutes gone, not far from glory.
Andrew Payze, prolific possession gatherer. That's his 12th for the day. To the head of the square he goes. There are plenty of options up there, there's no doubt about that. James to Kelly, similar in stature, but James certainly the best in terms of contribution today. Here's Primke, short to Chapman, who's played very much a stay-at-home game throughout the centre today. Modra gets one hand up to the ball. The umpire's found a free kick, and it will go to the Eagles, so they get their 26th free kick for the day. Norwood have 16.
Yes, it's something you'd like to do. It's an Eagles supporter. Yes, not far between. That'll be full of champagne in about a half an hour.
Well, she's got a good sense of humour anyway. She reckons this is ours. I'm just cleaning it up for the boys.
Let's have a look now at Shackey. Just 1 point so far. Launches himself at that one. Drifts across the face and through for one behind. So 17-20 the Eagles. Norwood a 7-7. We've played 29 minutes into this the last term.
Bruce Winter is going to send Lawrence Shackey to kicking school in the summer. Truly, I've rarely seen a bloke who gets the ball so often and misses just as frequently.
Yes, he's had trouble converting, hasn't he? Scott Burns gives it off to Robber, and there's the siren to end the 1993 grand final. And the Eagles have dominated the day. They go out winners by 73 points.
Wayne Weidermann, could he be the best man on the ground? He was dynamic early and instrumental in many plays. The Eagles celebrate. Norwood not disgraced by any means. They did it very tough to get through to the grand final. But it's the turn of the Eagles. Fired out in the preliminary final last year. Up goes the champ. Here's David Christie down on the boundary.
Bruce, a very happy man. It was a sensational performance from the lads, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. I thought their first half was absolutely fantastic. The defensive skills were just spot on. We shut them down, and it really set up the win in that first half.
There was a lot said about the pace of Norwood and perhaps just the experience of your lineup. I guess that's been laid to waste in some respects.
Oh, a little bit. You know, people have been making a thing about Norwood's youth. I mean, we've got just as much youth as they have. You know, we've got 3 or 4 underage players. We've got the under-20s and under-21s as well. But, you know, blokes like the Rogers and the Weidermans and the Taylors, sure, they made the difference as well.
Apart from feeling absolutely delighted yourself, Bruce, I guess you must feel an enormous sense of pride as far as these young players creating history this afternoon.
Oh, it's fantastic. It's been a fantastic year just for the club. We had 4 grades in the finals and we've got 3 premiers, so what more can you ask?
And what about from a personal point of view, Bruce? I suppose you've got an enormous foundation to build on.
Well, hopefully we can keep some of these players. I suspect there would have been a few blokes here today going to target some of them. Depends on whether we can keep them or not, but yeah, I'd like to think that for a few years now that we'll be a force in our competition.
The performance overall, Bruce, could you have asked for any more? Could you have improved any more on, well, I guess one word, a demolition would call it?
Yeah, no, that was a pretty good performance. You know, I suppose if you want to be harsh, I thought in that third quarter we got a bit lazy and and started to play this side of the ground when we shouldn't have been. But, you know, that's maybe being a bit pedantic, but they toughed it right out. It was tremendous. I'm really proud of them.
Without singling out anybody, Bruce, I guess, but where could you perhaps put it in a nutshell as to where you won the game overall?
Well, I thought we cut down their strengths. You know, we knew that their on-ballers and their wingmen would be tough. I thought our on-ballers were fantastic. They had two key forwards in Prime and Ducker, but I thought Rogers and Spear cut them completely out. And I thought we had winners. Primke at centre half back was outstanding. Tapey on the half back flank. You could actually go through the whole team. Their forwards were very good. Taylor, you know, his first game at league level for 6 weeks, he was a fantastic leader up there. Stephen Ziller, superb. Jason Ziller, superb. You go through the whole team.
Bruce, there's a lot of players waiting to see you. Congratulations. Enjoy the celebrations.
Thanks very much.
A triumphant Bruce Winter as the Eagles celebrate. Norwood for their camp. They're sitting over there a little despondent, but it's all smiles in the Eagles camp. And they certainly deserve it, don't they, David?
They certainly do. As we go down to Max Bashir on the dais.
Playing off in the grand final. But I congratulate the Eagles on a wonderful win and a wonderful season. I'd also like to congratulate their club on winning 3 out of the 4 premierships for season 1993. It's a marvellous performance and all credit is due to that club. I have much pleasure in announcing the winner of the 1993 Jack Oatey medal is Stephen Ziller. And I'd ask Mr. Jack Oatey to make the presentation to Stephen.
Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Bashir now will present the premiership medallions to the winning team as the players are called to the dais in the order of their jumper numbers. Firstly, number 2, Stephen Ziller. Number 4, Nick Pesh. Number 5, Jamie Tate. Number 6, Scott Morford. Number 7, Andrew Payze. Number 9, Shane Brewer. Number 11, Wayne Weidermann. Number 12, Paul Chapman. Number 15, Andrew Taylor. Number 17, Sam Philippou. Number 20, Andrew Rogers. Number 23, Lawrence Shackey. Number 26, Simon Nee. Number 27, Matthew Kluzek. Number 28, Jason Spear. Number 29, Paul Primke. Number 35, David Newman. Number 43, Stuart Nichol. Number 56, Jason Ziller. And the captain of the 1993 premiership team, Peter Schwarz.
Our Eastern States viewers are about to leave us. Here's Karen Tye in Sydney.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's now my pleasure to present the Thomas Seymour Hill Cup to the captain of the Eagles, Peter Schwarz. Peter.
Thanks, Max. First of all, I'd like to thank the Norwood Footy Club. I mean, they tried their guts out today. For us, this is a very sweet moment indeed. 3 years ago, a lot of people made some very tough decisions, a lot of administrators for two clubs. They made some painful decisions, and they joined together. This is the end result. This is for both clubs, for Woodville and for West Torrens. Now we're one club.
We now ask
So a terrific performance there, and Neville Roberts, very apt words there from the captain of the Eagles.
Well, they were, weren't they? A tough decision by both those administrations, and it's been vindicated today with only 3 years later a trophy, the Thomas Seymour Hill Cup, and they were well-spoken words by the skipper. He might not play another game, but what a great way to go out of football. And Andrew Taylor there enjoying it along with all the Eagles players, and he said it was a sweet moment, and indeed it is for those people. 40 years since they had this sort of pleasure.
Up goes the trophy, and what a marvellous time it is for the Eagles. And I just wonder, Neville Roberts, whether a number of other clubs will be looking on and will be becoming a little envious.
Well, it's a strong message, isn't it? And if clubs that are struggling down towards the bottom of the ladder and resources and finance are tough, and with loose talk of more AFL sides in Western Australia in here, it must be a strong thought, particularly with the performance of the Eagles. And they're a glad bunch, and a bunch that's been brought together by, as Peter Schwarz said, some very, very, very brave decisions.
Yes, he'd be pretty happy about that. The Attorney General, Chris Sumner, he's got a smile from beard to beard.
He's the #1 member of the Eagles, isn't it? And I've seen him at that club for many, many years, and he rightly congratulates Bruce Winter. His first premiership as a coach. He's been here before as a player, and he looks on very, very proudly at the players that he's coached and guided towards this grand final win.
Did you expect them to win as easily as they did, Neville?
I think it was always on. The odds were pretty strongly in favour of the Eagles. As I said before the game, it was a mismatch. There was probably two better sides in the competition than Norwood, but to their credit, they were very dogged, they were organised, and they systematically got rid of the opposition and won their way through to the day. And next year we'll see the benefit of this for the Norwood Footy Club. But no, I didn't expect Norwood to get within 4 or 5 goals of them today, and if everything went how our Bruce Winter would want it to.
Is it a changing of the guard now, with the Magpies perhaps losing a few players next year, a couple of old players retiring, and a number of the other clubs still building? Is it a changing of the guard?
Well, we saw that happen to the Magpies in the early to mid-80s. And we thought then that with the retirement of the Evanses and Eberts and Max Jameses and Kennedys and all that brigade leaving, that might happen. But then they just keep coming up with them, don't they? They find the Bonds and the Hulls and Angoves and Tylers and so on. No, I don't think so. They're great recruiters, and they've got a magnificent recruiting area in the West Coast. They'll come back again.
What about the Zillas? Absolutely outstanding, weren't they? Particularly Stephen.
Well, it's a great moment for them, but also a great moment for Bruce Winter as he stays relaxed and cool with just a little grin, a lot of satisfaction. I think it was an anti-climax for him. I think he was enjoying that win back as far as three-quarter time. But to take you up on the player side of it, Wayne Weidermann, the Weed they call him, number 11, Crows player, absolutely delighted. Number 6 was Scott Morford. But to get back to the Zilla brothers, Stephen, number 2, who kicked 3 goals and won the Jack Odie medal, and his brother Jason, they're a very similar style of player. They're in at the footy, they're small running players. Stephen a bit quicker than Jason. They take a risk with their body, they're fair dinkum. They portray all that you say about having a go, and great success for them.
Norwood looked a bit tired, Neville, didn't they, particularly after half-time?
Well, they did look a little bit tired, and I did call Stephen Rowe. I think I criticised him for not chasing somebody there at the end, but he'd had 32 touches. He'd been working hard over a final series, and like all the Norwood players, the Eagles had only 6 days rest. The Eagles had 13. They trained 4 times during the week, and this is the result, I guess, that it is a very, very hard thing to do, to come through 4 hard finals and finally take the cup.
Let's check the quarter-by-quarters now for the 1993 SANFL Grand Final here at Football Park, in front of a huge crowd, as it turned out. I don't think the league expected a crowd of around 43,000. It was 5-7 to 2-2 at quarter time. 12-9 to 3-4 at half-time. It really was all over then. I don't think any of the commentators or anyone were really expecting Norwood to get back, and they didn't. 13-14 to 5 goals, 7 at three-quarter time. And then the final score, it was a whitewash.
Indeed it was. It finished up a 73-point margin, and the main contributors to that for the Eagles were Stephen Zilla, the Jack Odie medalist on 3, along with Taylor 3, Philippo, Kluzak and Zilla 2 each, and for Norwood, Patterson and Prime led the way with 2 each, O'Brien, Toombs and Pitt. Badly starred forward line, though, the Red Leagues.
Yes, and the Eagles' defence, Neville, all year's been outstanding, hasn't it?
Well, it has been outstanding, and today they just continued on there. A very organised defence, led back there by Rogers, I guess, who's the statesman in the back line. He's had league experience at Geelong and Essendon. They afforded the luxury of having him in a lateral position, not a centre half-back or full-back, spirit full-back. Young Newman, no, he's not young anymore, but Simon Newman in a pocket. He's been a torrid little player. And across the half-back line, Primke has done very, very well. And that's Peter Schwarz, probably his family or son, getting a hug from Dad, probably, and good luck to him.
What a moment for Peter, 250 games, and this has been one heck of a season for them, hasn't it? I mean, they won the Foundation Cup Grand Final over Port Adelaide, and we all knew then that something was going to happen with this team in 93.
Oh, we did indeed, and they finished top of the ladder with a magnificent record. They won 15, lost 4, drew 1 in round 12 against the Payze, and they took the lead in the SANFL to take the minor premiership in the last minor round game. Only 1 point over Port Adelaide. They beat Norwood 3 times during the year, and they'd issued warning by the way they disposed of Port Adelaide in the second semi-final that this cup would be theirs, and they'd be holding it up tonight. It's been, if you could plan a season, Mark, it's been as organised and as planned as you could hope, particularly going into a grand final with a second semi-final win, a comfortable berth, no injuries and a good rest.
So how much celebrating tonight? All night?
Indefinite.
All
early
week?
hours.
All week?
Well, I can remember back in grand finals, the lady friends give you about 7 days of freedom. That always comes back to 48 hours after the first night's performance.
Is that right? Speak for yourself.
But they'll enjoy it in their own way. Tonight will be back at the club. They'll have a dinner together, and then after that they'll be presented at Woodville Oval by our own David Mackay. and he'll be late to our dinner, by the way, because of that, but we'll release him for that.
And what about Super City? He was a Norwood supporter. He's come across.
I'd ding that back, Pete. There's another few red ones there for you. But they'll enjoy that tonight, and there'll be thousands back at Woodville Oval, literally thousands.
Yes, now that's my next point. What does this do now for the supporter base for this club, Neville?
Well, it's always a great ground for your financial future, isn't it, winning a flag? I mean, they've already, you can see the memorabilia they've got running there now, T-shirts and caps. We always said it would add something in the vicinity of maybe $50,000 to $100,000, even in the current climate, to a club's finances. It also helps you when you go to your vice presidents. It's easier to stitch up a major sponsor like Wallace Paints and so on, or a Wallace Print, sorry. And it's easier to get people to donate money over the summer in preparation for that year, and the home match ticket sales also go up, so it's a financial boost. But as we've said, and probably just as importantly, it's a boost to other lower clubs considering amalgamation, because we do need one more here in Adelaide.
Neville, I've got a nasty list here of players from the Eagles who are drafted. I'll go through them quickly. I won't go through all of them. Philippo Footscray, Cluzak to Melbourne, Brewer to Geelong, Payze obviously to the Crows, that doesn't matter. Primke to Melbourne, Tape to Richmond, and that's about it at this stage. How many of those are going to go across?
Well, I believe that I'm sure that Tape will go. Primke's under a lot of pressure. There's Tape and Mackay down in the tunnel. Neil Barnes here today, so Cluzak and Primke are they're pretty likely to go. And then for the rest, Brewer to Geelong, Philippo to Footscray. I can tell you after today, those clubs will be doing a lot of work, and the same from Norwood.
Okay, here's David Mackay down in the Eagles locker room.
Hello, Schwarz. Well done. Terrific effort.
Thanks, mate.
I couldn't hear anyone telling me they were coming to us.
I've got any use, so it's all right.
Doesn't look like that cup's going to go too far tonight.
I've got it, mate. It's mine.
40 years we've waited for this. 40 years. Were you born then? I know the answer.
No.
I knew the answer, by the way. I'm not that silly.
No, it's fantastic, isn't it?
Tell us about the feeling out on the ground. The boys, what's the emotion like, that moment that you know you've got it?
Well, it's just, you can't describe it. I mean, people used to say that you can't describe it unless you've been in one, and they're dead right. It's something that you just, I don't know, it's just an elation. It's just a relief in the end of it, because there's a big build-up to it. Your emotions are all topsy-turvy and that, but when it finally happens and that siren goes, it's just something unbelievable.
We've watched you through pre-season training, the Foundation Cup, you won that, the hard slogs during the middle of the winter. Some people say, gee, the rewards aren't worth what you put into it. How do you rate it now?
Oh no, this is worth everything. This is worth, I've been 11 years now, this is worth all 11 years.
Do you reckon that there's now an era evolving for the Eagles? Do you think this is the first of many?
Well, let's hope so. We've got a good group of young blokes, and we've got some experience there as well, and we've won 3 out of 4 premierships this year, so I mean it all goes well for the future.
It's pretty obvious we're going to lose a few players in the draft. Andrew Taylor doing silly things. We got the depth, really.
Yeah, it's there. I mean, the juniors are absolutely outstanding at the moment, the 17s and 19s and the reserves. So we've got a great future to look forward to.
Well, what's on at the club tonight? What's on back there?
Oh, they got a band playing, they got amusements, they got food and drink and plenty of drink.
What time does that start?
That starts about now, I reckon.
So it's an open invitation to everybody to come down to Woodville Oval.
Get straight down there.
Right.
No worries.
Thank you very much, thanks, David. Here's Nick at Christie.
Big season for the boys.
Oh, magnificent. Yeah, we did well all year, and today just finished it off fantastic. Yeah, unbelievable.
Did you at any stage feel as though it might slip away from you after half-time and expect the Norwood comeback?
I mean, we knew Norwood would be tough and they'd come out firing after half-time, but we really set it up in the first half and gave ourselves a real chance, and it was fantastic, yeah.
What about the coach? What did he say to you at three-quarter time? Was it just go on with it? Were there any specific instructions to finish it off?
I think we let ourselves down a little bit during the third quarter there, but the boys rallied. We got the first couple after three-quarter time and finished off. Magnificent.
What about the young fellows, Andrew? They obviously learned a heck of a lot today as far as pressure footy and what it's like to rejoice in something such as this.
Yeah, Stephen Ziller and Jamie Tape I thought were outstanding, and you know, the other 18 guys were terrific too. Just a great team effort, you know, really good team effort.
As far as your career goes, Andrew, you've had your time with
I've been waiting for one of these for a long time, and I'm going to enjoy it tonight. Don't worry about that.
I guess this is the greatest moment of all.
Oh, fantastic, unbelievable. You don't know what it's like until you've experienced it. Fantastic.
In one word,
love it, love it, love it.
Congratulations, Andrew. Enjoy the celebrations.
With me, Wayne Weidermann, the Destroyer. Weed, terrific feeling. I can't believe how physical you were out there today. Was that the plan?
No, not really. We knew those blokes would be sort of intimidating first up, but we had to just let them go and play our game of footy. And, you know, we started off well in the first quarter, and, you know, they had to do anything to knock us off our game, but we bounced back pretty well.
Here comes the champagne. We're getting the champagne shower. Tell me, the Crows, the disappointment of the Crows losing to Essendon, has this made up for it?
Oh, it certainly has. I mean, I would have been shattered today if we had a loss, but this is, you know, still not good enough to come third with the Crows, but this is some sort of a condolence, I suppose, to get up there and win the big one.
We've seen you play some pretty hard games. I thought today was probably your premier physical game. You took them on physically and you just slaughtered them with strength.
Yeah, well, I had to make up for a lot that I haven't done during the year, and I was just so determined today to do my best, and I was glad I had a good game because I owe a lot of people a few things, so no, I was pretty happy to get a few touches.
It's hard to single out players, but I thought, you know, Stephen Zilla obviously won the Jack Odie medal, but his game was just terrific early when it had to be won.
When it was there to be won, he just took the bit by the bullet and really got a couple of valuable goals that really set us in front.
Rogers and Primke and Spear in defence were impassable, but I thought Jamie Tate provided the run that the others perhaps didn't.
He did, yeah. The other boys very, very tired all day, but Tate, he just took the risk and went off and ran off his man, snagged the goal, and he was pumped, you know, fantastic stuff.
I'm pretty eager to find out what Bruce Winter said to you at half-time, like you were 10 goals up virtually. It was pretty much the game in the bag. What did he say?
It was just to settle down, refocus, you know. All we done in the first half was give us a chance to have a win, so just refocus and concentrate on the next contest and take it from there. By no means did we think we had it won at half-time.
What was the preparation this week? Was it a strong build-up or was it just very relaxed?
It was reasonably relaxed, but very hard on the track, I mean, we trained pretty solid all week, and, you know, the boys responded pretty well. There's no overconfidence there, and, you know, to their credit, you know, they were magnificent today.
So you'll be celebrating tonight. Where are we going to catch up with you?
I'll go straight in bed, mate, after the game.
I don't believe you.
About Tuesday I'll get to bed, I think, but no, I'll be back at the club for a while, and who knows what happens then.
All right, we'll let you get back and enjoy the celebrations. Thanks very much for your time. You played a great game. It was a super game of footy.
Thanks, mate.
Andrew, obviously the happiest moment in your football career, as well as a lot of the other young fellas here today.
Yeah, certainly. I'm just so over the moon. I just can't believe it's happened, you know. It's something, you set goals and all that, and you feel as though you're working the right way, but until it happens, it's just something sensational.
I mean, you came to the Woodville Football Club, you moved north, you've come back again. I guess that vindicates your decision to return to South Australia.
Yeah, to be quite honest, I had a couple of bugger years and a lot of frustrating years, and I think this makes up for a bit of it, you know. I mean, I left the country.
To Peter and Bruce on a great season to you blokes. It's the ultimate to win the flag. We would have liked to have done it. We just weren't good enough today, but we'll see you next year for sure. Good on you.
We'll have a drink later on, mate.
Certainly the players and administration, certainly you, Bruce, the Eagles Football Club. What you guys have achieved today is something very special. Something you will never forget. And whilst a lot of the younger players in the club won't understand what I'm talking about, I'm sure in the next 5-10 years it'll certainly hit home to you. To the senior players of the Eagles Football Club, you know exactly what I'm talking about. And to players who've played both for West Torrens and Woodville, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. Yes. To Bruce, congratulations. It's obviously a club that's very, very, very well coached. What you've achieved today, fellas, does not happen unless you have a very, very strong club, both on and off the field. And so whilst my congratulations goes to Bruce and the players, congratulations also to the administration of the Eagles Football Club. Understand that obviously down the other end of the corridor we have a lot of players who are hurting. And I want you to also to understand that I'm very, very proud of what my players have achieved this year.
Good on you. Well, that's what sport's all about, Neville, isn't it?
Yes, it was quite a moving little cameo appearance by Neil Craig to go into the rooms. It's always a difficult thing to do. He's got to deal with his own players in the club, then have to move into a room that's overflowing with emotion and joy. It's your other end of the corridor in terms of emotions, and he did it well. and he acknowledged all aspects of what makes up a premiership club, the players, and picked them apart between the seniors and the juniors, and there is a big division there in terms of appreciation, and then the coaching staff and then the administration. He did that very well.
Well done to ABC cameras too, because we don't get a chance to see that very often, do we?
And also the cooperation of the Eagles to have us in the rooms and give us a full run there. It's very good of them.
Here's Nipper Christie in the umpire's room.
Yes, and two, well, pretty tired young men, I guess, Mark Westgarth and Richard Williams. How was it out there today? Firstly, you, Mark?
Oh, it was fairly quick, fairly tense early, but the Eagles really got on top.
Richard, I was talking to you prior to the game and you were a little bit nervous. How long did it take to settle down?
Oh, not too long, actually. It was got into it straight away, so it was good.
What about was there much feeling in the game from your point of view, Mark?
I think the game was, the players were very tense, but they didn't get, overzealous at it and belt anybody, so they just played football, which was good.
And what about the technicalities? Did you were you happy with your performances overall, Richard? I know, as I say, you were pretty nervous, but you settled down. Were you happy with your effort?
Oh yeah, I think we did pretty well. Once it got one-sided, it took a bit out of it, but that was a good game. Enjoyed it.
From your point of view, Mark, was there any doubt as to who was going to win it? Perhaps from midway through that second term?
Oh no, the Eagles looked pretty well on top. So.
And they all played the ball, Richard?
Most of them. No, they all did, no.
No reports out of the game, I guess?
No, Mick Abbott wasn't umpiring.
True.
With me, Norwood coach Neil Craig. Neil, it must be a pretty emotional time for you.
Oh, it's a disappointing feeling. I mean, there's no worse feeling, David, but just sometimes you have to take a step backwards when you want to go forward, and good lesson.
So Neil Craig speaking there with David Mackay. Just very quickly, what are the players feeling, the Norwood players?
Oh, well, looking forward to next year, I guess, all ready to try and turn this emotional feeling down, that they're feeling now around.
Neville, thank you for your support right throughout the 1993 season. That is ABC's coverage of football for season 1993. On behalf of all of the commentators and all of the technical crew, it's Mark Aston signing off from Football Park, and the Eagles are premiers.